Hello and welcome everyone to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott and we are here to talk Crown Jewel. We are on the day of the event and you know what that means. It is build-up time. We're going to have some live chat, also some replays throughout the stream as well from our content from earlier on this week. But hey, let's just get geared up to Crown Jewel, yeah?
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, once again, welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. You are watching the build-up show, and we are going to dive into last-minute predictions, also covering, of course, our predictions from earlier on this week. But now that we've had Raw and a go-home SmackDown, there's a lot to discuss as well. Thanks to those that joined us for the watch-along of our kickoff show last night. If you didn't get a chance to join us for that, don't you worry. We're going to have a replay of that throughout this afternoon as well, and also a look back at some of our predictions from earlier on this week as well. But before we get into that, let's quickly break down the card. Of course, the big feud going into this one as far as the women's division goes of course to Liv and Nia. We got the WWE Women's Champ versus the Women's World Champ, and this will see the first ever Crown Jewel champion crowned. We've also got the same in the men's division, of course, with Cody Rhodes, the WWE champion, going up against Gunther, the world heavyweight champ. And then moving away from Crown Jewel titles for a moment, we've got a huge match between, well, a huge guy in big Bronson Reed taking off on Seth Freakin and Rollins. Then we've got a big grudge match with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. We've got a lot to talk about there because I think it was quite interesting what went down, of course, on that kickoff show and also, of course, on SmackDown. The US title is going to be defended by LA Knight against his two bitter enemies at the moment, Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. Really looking forward to this. I do think it has potential to be match of the night. Then we've got a huge match in the kind of Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Women's Title match. Will the champions be coming out of the Saudi Arabian event as title holders still? It'll be interesting to see. And then a big match, which surely is going to be the headliner, where we've got essentially the old bloodline versus the new bloodline. This graphic, of course, makes it look like a 4 and a 3, and I'm sure that will be somewhat how we see it tonight with interference. But Jacob Fatu isn't officially in the match. But hey, when has that stopped the bloodline before? So again, we're going to be going through our predictions from earlier on this week and also touching on all the highlights from last night's kickoff show as well. So if you haven't watched that yet and you do want to squeeze that in, now's a good time because we are going to be having our watch along with that stream coming up on this very show as well. But again, a big card. I want to know, guys, what are you most looking forward to at Crown Jewel? What do you think is going to happen? Who do you think will close the show? And what's your reasoning for it? Who should it be? You know, a lot of people would argue that the Bloodline maybe get too much of a headline main event spot. But at the same time, they've been deserving of it quite often. But when you've got champion versus champion in two different categories, well, it's kind of harder to justify, right? So it'd be interesting to see what WWE do decide to do. But once again, let us know what you think is going to happen on Crown Jewel later today. Now, of course, we are here in merry old England. It's a reasonable time for us to watch the show and do stream. So I appreciate it's not the same for everyone around the world. So wherever you're joining us from today, we do really appreciate you. Whether you're watching live or on demand, I know some people do watch our build-up shows on demand as well because of the topics we go into on these streams. But thank you to anyone that's watching, whether it's for your first time or your 15th time. We really do appreciate you. And again, everyone that joined us on last night's kickoff show as well. Before we go any further, though, let's break down some of our original predictions from earlier on this week. Again, myself, Dan, and Lucas have already done ours, and let's see what that was all about. 2024 predictions. Let's do it. Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax for the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. Bit of a strange one, right? But I'm sure we'll break this down further in the stream. But when it comes to this match, I actually think it is better for Liv to win it. She hasn't done that much lately other than look scared all the time of Rhea Ripley. And I think giving this new championship to Nia might muddy the waters when it comes to a potential Tiffany cash-in. Maybe we'll see it at Crown Jewel. I know there's rumours out there about that. But I think it's best to give it to Liv. Make the Judgment Day look strong for a little bit because of it. And we'll go from there.
Okay, so the first match to predict is the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. I'm going Championship for the sake of it. We'll delve into that more on the stream, I'm sure. But the Women's Crown Jewel Championship, which is between Liv Morgan and Nia Jax. Now, the thing is, they've really, in my opinion, made Liv Morgan look really weak in her whole entire feud with Rhea Ripley. She just runs away every single week. And obviously Nia Jax is, you know, has been really booked for quite well, I think. So this is an interesting one because can Liv Morgan realistically beat Nia Jax? The answer is yes, obviously as it's wrestling. But in this scenario, does she? I don't think so. I think Rhea, I think there'll be some sort of shenanigans and Rhea will cost her the match is my prediction. So yeah, I'll go with a victory for Nia Jax.
So these are my predictions for WWE Crown Jewel 2024. Firstly, we are going to go with the Women's Crown Jewel Championship, which is between Liv Morgan and Nia Jax. Spoiler, I don't think either woman is going to be leaving with that championship. I think we are going to see a Tiffany Stratton cash in on one of the women, maybe beforehand or maybe at Crown Jewel itself. And Tiffany Stratton is going to be the one who walks out of Crown Jewel as the Crown Jewel champion.
Big Bronson Reed versus Seth Freakin Rollins. Bronson has looked amazing lately, and I think that's got to continue. Although it's great to see Seth back, I do think it's better if they put the younger guy over here. So for me, Bronson Reed's got to come out looking victorious, come out looking strong like he has on Raw for the past few months. And Seth, well, you can afford to take the loss, right?
Seth Rollins and Big Bronson Reed. Now this one's been brewing for a number of months now actually. Bronson Reed has been on a kind of tear on Monday Night Raw, hasn't he, the last kind of few months. You know, really has been looking impressive. The thing is though, Seth Rollins is almost, it sounds really weird this, and I'll delve into it more on the stream, I'm sure. But Seth Rollins is almost like the poster boy for Saudi events in a weird way. Like between him and Lesnar, and obviously Lesnar hasn't been around for the past year and a bit. Seth Rollins always kind of seems to pop up at these things, and he's had a lot of success and been involved in a lot of moments at Saudi. While I would like Bronson Reed, and I think he kind of needs the win, I can see it being a case of Rollins getting... Or do they? Do they extend this feud maybe and Rollins gets to win back down the line? Because Rollins didn't need the win, but I'm assuming that Rollins will go into a feud with another main event guy after this, which is annoying because I think Bronson Reed needs to run a bit more. Oh, I'll go with Seth Rollins to win, but I really want Bronson Reed to win.
So the next one is obviously going to be Seth Rollins against Bronson Reed. Now this one, see, I think Seth is one of these that's going to want to put... he's going to want to put the younger talent over. So I think Bronson Reed is going to come out of this one victorious.
Men's Crown Jewel Championship. Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion, facing WWE Champion Cody Rhodes. Now this is where you back yourself into a bit of a corner when it comes to booking, right? Because same as Night Champions and all those kind of events that they used to do, it creates a dilemma when you've got a champion that needs to look stronger than another champion. And the real issue here is the World Heavyweight Championship is obviously the secondary title. So I think the best thing to do is to make that title look stronger by having its champion look stronger. The issue is, I'm not sure they're going to do that. We do have the whole situation with Goldberg. Will we see an interference? Yeah, I'm going to say Goldberg and Gunther's going to be a thing at Survivor Series. So for that to take place, he's got to cost him a Crown Jewel. So I'm going with Cody Rhodes winning this one.
And then you've got the men's Crown Jewel Championship contest between Raw's Gunther, World Heavyweight Champion, and of course Cody Rhodes, the current WWE Champion from Friday Night SmackDown. All these matches actually are really interesting because I know it's kind of a cop-out to say they could go either way, but I really think this one could. The thing is with Cody, like he won last month. Gunther he so rarely loses. But does he lose here? The whole Goldberg thing's thrown like a kind of spanner in the works as well. Like, will Goldberg show up? Because I think Gunther is someone who's kind of struggled, been lost in translation with the main roster. Like, you know, people don't really get what he does, I think. And he's not up there yet with the Cody Rhodeses. I will go with it playing it safe and say Cody Rhodes. Because even though they do like a DQ or non-finish, I think it will favour Cody Rhodes. So I'll go Cody Rhodes winning. I'd like to see Goldberg as well. So yeah, Cody Rhodes winning with Goldberg kind of in the vicinity.
Next, we are going to go with the Men's Crown Jewel Championship, which is between Gunther and Cody Rhodes. Now, this one I think is going to be won by Gunther. I think Gunther's going to win because I think Cody Rhodes is going to interfere himself too much in this Bloodline story. And I think the Bloodline are going to get involved and cost Cody Rhodes this match.
More Crown Jewel predictions for you. Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. Now, this is the battle of who turns on Cody the hardest, right? We've already seen Kevin Owens do it, and surely it's happening soon with Randy Orton. Now, in order to get there, I feel like we need Randy to continually have this dilemma in his head of, why am I acting like this? I need to go in this opposite direction. By seeing Kevin be a bit more successful than he's been lately. And I think Kevin Owens therefore needs to win this match so that Randy can start to have those cogs turning once more about potentially changing up his game plan and therefore turning on Cody Rhodes as a result. So for me, Kevin Owens is winning this one.
Right, so extra predictions now. The match between Randy Orton and Kevin Owens is going down. This obviously follows Kevin Owens turning a few weeks back on Cody Rhodes, and that kind of an interesting segment now, I guess, as it wasn't shown on main WWE television, but was a good way for them to use their social media reach. Now, it's interesting. I think Randy needs the win, but I don't see it happening straight away in this. So I would go for Kevin Owens to be victorious.
Okay, then we also have the Kevin Owens-Randy Orton match, which has now been officially announced. This one I think we are going to see Randy Orton victorious. I think it's going to be a very, very big back and forth match. We may even see an appearance from Triple H in this one. Basically saying that he wanted to protect Randy Orton, not protect Kevin Owens in this one. So potentially, I reckon on the night we could even see Triple H added as a special guest referee.
LA Knight versus Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes for the US title. Now this is actually a difficult one to predict in my eyes because this feud has been good. This three-way feud has been a bit kind of confusing as far as who's going to come out on top, and I still feel the same way now. It doesn't feel any clearer to me. So surely LA Knight's got to lose it at some point, right? But I don't see either of the other two being in that position to take it just yet. So for that reason, I feel like we should hold out a bit longer. But then again, this feud's been going on for quite a while, and it's weird to say that about a three-way feud, right? The other thing is that Carmelo feels different to how he felt in NXT. I've enjoyed his work, and Andrade feels different to how he used to be on WWE. But I've also enjoyed his work as well. I just don't feel like either of them are getting that title just yet. Maybe it'd be more clear-cut if it was a one-on-one, but maybe that's why they're doing a triple threat. But you know what, LA Knight.
Next up, we have a triple threat match for the United States Championship as LA Knight takes on the forever dueling partnership buddies of Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. Now, I think as LA Knight only just won the championship, this is like his big showing in Saudi. I don't see him losing the championship. So I will go, I think one of Andrade, Carmelo will cost each other the match. I mean, the match is always good with them two, but hopefully that ends it there. But I would say, yeah, LA Knight to still be United States champion.
So we have LA Knight versus Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes for the WWE United States Championship. I think LA Knight is coming out of this one still as your United States champion.
Women's tag team titles on the line. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defended against Lash Legend, Jakarta Jackson, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. And Damage Control, that's it. It's a bit of a long one, this one. But hey, going to be exciting to see 8 incredible women in the ring battling out to see who comes out on top. And I think it's going to be the current champs. I don't see a reason to take it off of them just yet. And I do feel like they are going to start turning into a bit more of a heel duo, and in order to do that, I think they need to keep the titles. But then again, you could argue that losing them could kind of be that final straw for them, so I guess we could see. But for me, it just makes the most sense at the moment to keep it on the current champions of Cargill and Belair.
Next up to predict, we have a fatal 4-way tag team match for the Women's Tag Championship, which is actually quite huge, to be fair. It shows, I think, the importance of the Saudi deal to WWE. Now, I like the way this is all kind of intertwined throughout Raw, SmackDown and NXT the past few weeks. And yeah, it's a nice way to set up this match. Do I see a title change? I kind of could do. But, I mean, I'm going to risk it. I think a good way to show that, you know, Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson are going to be treated well on the main roster is to have them win this match. And the Fatal 4-Way is also how Bianca and Jade lost the tag belts originally. Back at Clash at the Castle, wasn't it? To Unholy Union, which obviously who aren't in this match. But yeah, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go bold. I think, you know, they could obviously then set up a rematch and then they win them back. And I think they're really trying to establish more tag teams in general, but definitely more tag teams for the women. So I will go with a victory for Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson.
Now for the women's fatal 4-way match, I don't see anybody other than Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill coming out of this one as your women's tag team champions. As much as I could probably see Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend coming out as the champions, I just don't see it.
And then a last minute addition has been a Bloodline 6-man tag, which I think has probably come because Saudi have heard about Survivor Series being War Games and said, look, we need the Bloodline Now show too. Now this is an interesting one because I think it's going to be very story driven. And I don't know if it's going to end cleanly. I think surely you'd end it in a kind of undecisive way and then you'd go forwards to Survivor Series kind of with it unanswered. So, I mean, if there's like a DQ or something, I guess it'd be a DQ the villains would get. So then I'd go with whatever team Roman Reigns is on to win, but I think it'll be by a DQ.
We go into the big 6-man tag team match, the Bloodline versus the original Bloodline. I reckon this one is going to be the original Bloodline, so Roman and the Usos that are going to come out on top in this one. I think there may be some interferences in this galore, obviously, it being that kind of thing. I think this is going to main event the show.
Join us on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel on our build-up show for Crown Jewel. And thanks for watching our predictions. All right, and you are here for the build-up show and some interesting points to break down there as well. Not only that, guys, I want to know what you think is going to happen at Crown Jewel. What would you like to see? So drop your comments below and we'll get to those as well. Jacko, apologies if either one of those are wrong, but hi, how are you doing today? I'm doing good, thanks, buddy. Thanks for joining us. I really hope you're in the mood for Crown Jewel. If you're not, hey, that's what this show's here for anyway. It's about getting us and yourselves hyped up for the PLE. If you're new here, this is what we do for every PLE. Basically, on the day of the PLE, I've said PLE a lot there, we get us and yourselves hyped up for it by breaking down the card, all last-minute rumors and stuff like that. And as I say, some interesting predictions there, of course, for this evening's or this afternoon's show, wherever you are in the world. Again, I appreciate those out there, especially in the States at the moment, are waking up pretty early to watch this. So kudos to you, and thank you for everyone that's tuned into this stream as well. Right, let's get on with it. Let's talk about some of these matches here. Again, big headline as far as this show goes is the fact that there is a new title being created, or two new titles being created, but of course both similar to each other, and that is the Crown Jewel Championship. And I mentioned it quite a bit on last night's kickoff stream, and again, if you missed that, we will have a replay of that throughout this stream as well. But it's an interesting thing that they've decided to do, right? It does feel like Saudi have needed to fine-tune, or WWE and Saudi's relationship has needed to be fine-tuned as far as what is the kind of USP of these shows. They tried it with a Night of Champions flair. They tried it with the greatest Royal Rumble. They tried it with tournaments like King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring, and Queen's Crown. And it looks like they've now settled on this championship, which is, again, a kind of a mixture of what they did before, right? Remember when Braun Strowman won the greatest Royal Rumble, and they gave him a title belt for it as well. It looks like that is going to be the thing going forward. Let's see if they do the same thing next year. And you know what, they might as well, because again, they've done Night of the Champions in the past, and we'll talk about the kind of complications with having a champion versus champion throughout the stream, I'm sure. But if you're going to do it, then you might as well kind of do something about it. This actually feels like when the Champions League winner faces the Europa League winner, it doesn't actually matter. It's bragging rights, but it's kind of, that's it. It ends there. The titles that they have won are more important. Most clubs see it that way, I feel, in football. But that's the kind of analogy I'm looking at, this being, I guess, similar to, at least, in that this isn't going to be a title that's defended. And next year, and you don't have to lose it, right? So next year, it's just, if you're holding the title and you're holding that title, then you'll face each other to see who's the champion of champions almost. And again, it's a risky move. It's always difficult when you've got two strong champions and you've got titles that you're trying to push as well, particularly, of course, when we have the men's world title, which I really do feel, although the women's one is a new championship as well, but the men's one, it's kind of always got that feeling of which one's the real one, which one's the secondary one. I think the women's doesn't have that as much because you had a Raw one and a SmackDown one. They always, for quite a while, they actually felt equal anyway. And this feels like it's taking the place of that. And while, yes, the World Heavyweight, the old version, and the WWE, the Undisputed, what you want to call them, have been on brands before, they've been separated, don't get me wrong, there's still always been this feeling of, but one of them is the real champ. And sometimes that would switch. Back in the day, there were certainly times where the big gold was seen as the best title. And I'm not talking WCW days or NWA days. I'm talking within the WWE kind of ecosystem in the past, 15 odd years with the 20 now, I'm getting old, in the brand split era, so there were times where someone was holding that and it felt more important than the person holding the WWE title. So it's possible, and I do think that's the big risk they face here, particularly with what is usually seen as the secondary. It kind of feels like if a title clearly feels like the secondary title, that champion should just always win, to make, if anything, just make it feel on par with the other champion. But then the argument is the reason why the other title always seems so important is because the person who's got it, or the storyline, the way it's presented. So there's a reason they're in that position. There's a reason they are kind of put as this figurehead of the company. Of course, now it does feel like Cody Rhodes, but Gunther is a credible world champion. Don't get me wrong. And I do like what they've done with him. And I do think they've made this title a bit more relevant than it was just a few months ago. I mean, it was a brand new title. There's only so much you can do with a brand new title, even though it kind of, is meant to look like and has the same name as another one. But it's an interesting point, right? So let me know, guys, what do you think as far as, this champion versus champion kind of way of booking things? Again, I see the benefit in it. It's exciting. Like, who's going to come out on top? But a lot of times it creates more anxiety for me of like, who's going to look bad? And that's not great. Look, I know not everyone's watching wrestling through the eyes of someone like myself, but still, I do think it's a valid point in that sense. Now, you are tuned in live to the build-up show. Once again, guys, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Scott, here for the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, and you see the predictions just a moment ago from earlier on this week from myself, Dan, and Lucas, and I'm going to be dissecting them later on in the stream. I've got some points I want to kind of dig into from both Dan and Lucas there, and also kind of maybe clarify or kind of update you on some of my own predictions from earlier on this week as well. As I say, last night we did a watch along of the kickoff show. If you did miss it, don't you worry, because very soon on this very stream we're going to be playing that again, so you can see my reactions to everything that went down last night as well. Speaking of last night, of course, we've had SmackDown since then, so later on in the stream we'll be touching on how that's affected some of these matches on the card. But again, a quick run through of what we're going to see today, and it's quite a stacked card. We've talked about quite a bit already, but the 2 Crown Jewel Championship matches. We haven't seen much of Seth and Bronson lately, but we will be seeing a big match between the two of them later on. Randy Orton is going up against Kevin Owens to try and avenge himself there and avenge Cody Rhodes. But again, I've got some points to talk about there because of what we've seen on SmackDown. No showing on the kickoff from Andrade, Carmelo, or LA Knight to represent their US title match, but still one I'm very much looking forward to. The 8-woman Fatal 4-Way women's tag title match is one that's going to be quite interesting to dissect later on as well, because again, there are so many scenarios in this one, and I really enjoyed again on SmackDown the way they played into that. Now on SmackDown as well, we saw a big moment for the OG Bloodline, who of course are going up against the new version. And as I mentioned earlier on, Jacob Fatu not involved in the match, but you can bet your bottom dollar he's going to be there, right? He's going to get involved. So be interested to see how that one goes down. Once again, guys, we are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. I want to know what you guys think is going to happen at Crown Jewel. Let us know in the predictions. And also, while you're at it, on your phone and things like that, go and follow us, right? On Instagram and on TikTok for bonus wrestling content at RN Pro Wrestling. We are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. But again, I want to know what you're most looking forward to tonight and what you think is going to happen on Crown Jewel. I keep saying tonight, but again, maybe it's not night where you are. I mean, it's not even night where I am. It's not even PM where I am at the moment. But the show will be starting in the UK at 5 p.m., which again is a reasonable time for us at least. And hopefully by then, I think the Americans, you're going to be on like something like 10 a.m., 1 p.m., depending where you are in the States. And yeah, I think that's a good thing about these global things. It kind of shifts the balance. No offense to the Americans, but it does mean that people in Australia get to watch it at a different time. It does mean that people in India get to watch it at a different time. So, you know what? I'm all for it. Let's shake things up. And it really is starting to feel global. Of course, these Crown Jewel events, these Saudi events, as well, 12 of them, just talking about Saudi events themselves now, as they really hyped up on the kickoff show. And yeah, it was its own kind of thing. It was in its own kind of ecosystem and a different kind of canon, if you will. But now, like, since those shows have started, we've started to get more and more global events. You know, we had Money in the Bank over here in the UK. We've had three PLEs. We had 2 Clash of the Castle events, didn't we, as well? Backlash in France. Backlash also in Puerto Rico, which still was one of my favorite international PLEs, by the way, guys. What else have we had? I know they used to go to Canada back in the day a lot anyway, but even that felt special when they had the Chamber there. And yeah, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan globally. And we had a great question yesterday talking about the NXT global expansion. Remember that graphic they showed of NXT here, and it never really came to fruition, right? Well, now we've got that new ID project, as the comment was alluding to last night in the kickoff stream, and you'll see that in the moment when we do the replay of it. But there's some great kind of potential discussions there as well. There are a lot of positives to this new scheme, but there are potential pitfalls to it as well. And again, that's something I'm looking forward to breaking down on this channel. If you like topics and debate like that, then stick with us. I say debate, it's just me here at the moment, as you can see, but I've usually got a whole cast and crew of Rebellious Noise friends and guests from the outside world, friends from the media overall. We've had some fantastic contributions from our friends from the wrestling media here in over the past few years as well. So always appreciate them and always appreciate you guys watching as well. But again, if that's your sort of thing, then we'd love it if you would subscribe. You are here for the build-up show where we're going to break down the card and all the last-minute rumors flying around. We're going to be going through social media. We're going to be crawling through the dirt sheets and all that kind of stuff to talk about what the rumors surrounding this evening's events are. But again, if you haven't already, subscribe, because we've got plenty of other content for you. A great video a while ago that Lucas did talking about, has the Hell in a Cell format peaked, you know, in its early days? Is it kind of lost a bit of its shine? We've also had, talking of shine, look at these beautiful shirts. Some great conversations in the past with the likes of Pretty Deadly, with the likes of Rhea Ripley, of course, who's sadly injured at the moment, and also had the opportunity to have great conversations with people like Butch and Imperium. Of course, we're going to see Gunther. They're holding the IC, but tonight with the world title. No longer is he worrying about a title being on the line. So this could be the opportunity for him to take a loss. Let's be honest. This is a way to kind of allow that. Not that you need Cody to win, though. So again, I've got a lot to say about that one, guys. So stay tuned. We will be breaking it down. But as I mentioned earlier on, last night was the kickoff show for WWE Crown Jewel. I'm really enjoying these shows now, and I'm enjoying this even more than that, doing these streams where we break down what's happening. So if you didn't watch the kickoff show, don't you worry, because I'm going to tell you all about it. by the kind of magic of editing, I'm going to show you me from yesterday reacting to everything that went down on the kickoff show. And if you haven't watched it yet and you've been thinking, oh, you know what, I wish I could squeeze it in, now's the chance, because you can watch us and you can watch that, because it can act as your watch along for it. So again, if you haven't already watched the kickoff show, load that up. If you don't want to do that, don't worry. Stick with us on this channel, because you'll get my thoughts on what exactly went down, because I think there's a lot of interesting topics surrounding the kickoff show format and surrounding what we saw, particularly on last night's kickoff show as well. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to another version of myself talking about the kickoff show. Keep your comments coming, guys, because when we go back live, I'll be going through those and answering any questions as well. So stay tuned, and I'll see. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott, and we are back here for another watch along of a kickoff show. It's been a while since we had one, but let's get into it. It's going to be a big one, and we've got about 7 matches to preview as well.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, once again, welcome back to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott, and we are here to break down the card for Crown Jewel. Now, it's going to be a big PLE because, as we mentioned before the intro, there are 7 matches on this card, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with tonight's kickoff show as well. If you are watching this live, we appreciate you. If you're watching on delay, hey, we appreciate you as well, including those tuning in on the build-up show on Saturday night who are going to see a rerun of this. But hey, it's again a big card. We've got a lot to go through. Of course, we did our predictions earlier on in this on this channel in this week as well. And I'm surprised, I really am, that there are more than 5 matches. With that in mind, what does that mean for the kickoff show? You know, usually you can kind of guess the format and the formula because there are only a set amount of matches and they don't all get to shine on the kickoff. As far as, you know, these back and forth promo duels they seem to do these days. So it'll be interesting to see which matches are featured on tonight's kickoff show. Yes, in the past they've done well to also double up. You know, the times where we had the Judgment Day, for example, where they were in several matches, and there is actually, from what I remember, no real, well, I guess you've got Liv versus Nia, but other than that, there's no real presence of the Judgment Day on this card, which is incredible, really, considering that the Judgment Day are now split. And of course, yeah, Rhea's just become injured. But still, it's strange to think, right? This is a 7-match card where there's only 1 representation of the Judgment Day. But hey, it might be a light show as far as Judgment Day goes, but it's certainly not a light show as far as incredible matches to kind of get ourselves hyped up for. Speaking of which, again, on Saturday, we will be having our live build-up show as well. So tune in for that. If you are watching this in delay, you might actually be watching this section on that show. But there we go. And again, we have had our predictions earlier on this week as well. I'll quickly run through the card before WWE do go live. Of course, this is going to be your watch-along experience of that kickoff show. I'll be letting you know my thoughts and analysis of what's going on throughout the kickoff show. And it's something I really enjoy doing these days. Again, the first one we saw a few months ago, of course, or nearly a year ago, I guess now. No, that's not how time works. Was WrestleMania, of course, the one where The Rock was featured heavily in that whole situation between, would it be Cody versus Roman, would it be Rock versus Roman? And of course, they set up that tag match instead. Will we get anything like that tonight, or will it be simply what it's been in the past few months of basically promo battles that seem a little bit off script, which I really enjoy? So, hey, you're with us for it, and I'm pleased you've decided to tune in. Let us know in the comments what you're most looking forward to on Crown Jewel. We've got, of course, as we mentioned a moment ago, Liv Morgan from the Judgment Day going up against Nia Jax, champion versus champion, for the first ever Women's Crown Jewel Championship match. And again, we'll touch on this in a bit more detail as we go throughout the night. We're also going to see Seth Freakin Rollins versus Big Bronson Reed as well. That's going to be a big match. No pun intended there with the big man himself. Speaking of Crown Jewel Championships, of course, we've got Cody versus Gunther. This is going to be a big one. And my prediction earlier this week was kind of difficult to make because I was thinking, I mean, how do you make one of these champions look better than the other? Look, you could say the same thing about the women's division as well, but particularly when it comes to the men's titles, we all know the World Heavyweight Championship is the secondary one, right? So let's see what they do here because I think it's about time they make it look a bit more important. Then you got Randy versus Kevin Owens, former friends, now bitter enemies. We'll see how that goes. The US title's on the line in a triple threat match, one that's been brewing for quite some time, of course, with Carmelo and Andrade going up against LA Knight. That's going to be a good one to talk about, I'm sure. And then we got this 8-woman match where you've got team versus team versus team versus team for the women's tag team titles. And it's great to see the women's tag team championships get a bit of shining on this card, and particularly with such a strong division building, it would seem. Also, talking of strong divisions, well, the top of the card is pretty stacked as well, right? You can either go one way with the world titles, or you can go in a bloodline direction, which is what we've seemed to have followed for the past few years now. And this is going to be a huge match. Now, this does make it look like it's 4-3, and trust me, in some ways, I think it will be. But we've got the Tongans and Solo, no Jacob Fatu in this match, although he's there in the graphic, going up against the day ones of Jimmy and Jay and Roman Reigns. Now, it's going to be a big card to predict and go through. As I say, we've done our predictions on this channel, myself, Lucas, and Dan, earlier through the week. So if you haven't already, go back and check that out before the PLE starts on Saturday night. But we are here, of course, for the kickoff show. It's going to be an interesting one. As I say, I really enjoy doing these, and you are live tuned into our watch along of it. We'll keep you up to date with what's going on, and we appreciate that you've chosen us to accompany you on this journey this evening for the kickoff show. So if you're like me, tabs open everywhere. I appreciate that. If you're not watching the kickoff show and you just want to hear me tell you what happens, hey, that works as well. I'm here for it either way. So we've got about just under 2 minutes to go for WWE's presentation to actually start. But again, guys, let me know in the comments what match you're most looking forward to. As we say, we've got a stacked card here for Crown Jewel. Now, my stream's just popped up live on WWE's YouTube channel. Thank you for those again tuning into our channel. The Rebellious Noise Progressing channel is where it's at when it comes to analysis and things like that. We've also got interviews with the likes of Santos Escobar on this channel. We've had the great opportunity to interview the likes of Finn Balor and Bianca Belair, who, of course, is going to be featured on Crown Jewel as well. So thanks for tuning in, guys. But as I say, it's not just podcasts and previews and stuff like that. We do have fantastic interviews on this channel as well. There's a great one I do recommend myself, chatting to LA Knight. Yeah. But you are live and tuned in, of course, to our watch along, or maybe you're not live. Maybe you're watching this on demand. Again, we appreciate you either way. Now we're going to be diving into each and every one of the matches that are going to be highlighted tonight. Again, with 7 of them. I don't see all of them getting some time out there in front of the Saudi crowd. But either way, it'd be interesting to see what they choose to highlight. I've got a feeling that we won't see any bloodline activity tonight. Or we will, and it will be strictly current bloodline. I don't think they're wheeling out Roman Reigns for this, is what I'm saying. But yeah, looking forward to it. Is this the first kickoff? Yeah, of course it is. Like I said, the first one we had really was WrestleMania. So, yeah, it's the first one we've had for a Saudi show. So this is going to be interesting to see what the vibe's like. I feel like before they started doing these live events online, they were doing some sort of fan events, at least in that Saudi, if I remember correctly. But anyway, we've got the signature playing now on the WWE stream. Let's see how we go, guys. You're here for the ride, and I appreciate you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. We have a lot of Crown Jewel content over the weekend. Introduction here from Michael Cole. And if you are watching on delay, if you are watching on the repeat on the build-up show, thanks again. You might want to load up the kickoff. We've just started it. Watch it with us, guys. I'd see. This is what I love about these kickoff shows. It gives fans opportunity, and it makes WWE seem huge, global, as they should. You know, World Wrestling Entertainment and all that. I'm surprised it took him this long to do something like this with the Saudi shows, to be fair, because, again, it's a new format for WWE now. You've got the countdown the day of the PLE, the kickoff the day before. They did have one last month for Bad Blood, which is quite a shock, actually. I thought this would be constant going forward. It was a real shame not to do it, not to be able to do one of these streams for you guys. But, hey, I'm glad it's back. And, again, it does feel like something they were doing in Saudi, because, let's be honest, we all know how these shows started, and a bit of washing if you get my drift. But you got WWE, what's it called there? World? Isn't that the old thing in New York? I can't remember. Oh, so that's where this is being held. Of course it is. So they're holding it in that place where they've got that incredible, it looks incredible, don't get me wrong. That well, I was wrong. There we go. Bloodline activity straight away. The Yeet Man himself and the former No Yeet, who's a bit more on the side of his brother now. But they're here. The Usos are here, guys. Randy Orton is here, so we'll be hearing from him tonight about his match against Kevin Owens. I've got a lot to say about that one. Walking through the Hall of Immortals at this WWE Saudi Arabian event. You got Triple H being shown getting off of a private jet, of course, styling and profiling like his old buddy. I like that they're calling Raquel the bodyguard. Oh, that's what it's called. WWE Experience. That's where they are. And here we go. We've now got Nia Jax on screen as well. Even this, I like the way they show people arriving. You know, I think it adds like a grandeur to what they're doing, and also to the superstars as well. They look like a big deal. Then you got more walking through WWE Experience just to show it off. Cody, of course. It's a lovely suit he's wearing there, isn't it? Looks like a vampire. Gunther barging his way in. There's quite a lot of people here, to be fair. Now, who's not been seen? We haven't seen anyone from the women's tag, if I recall correctly, and we haven't seen anyone for the US. So it looks like they're the matches not being shown. Oh, and also we didn't see Seth or Bronson. So it looks like the matches we're going to be featuring tonight are the Crown Jewel Championship matches, the Kevin Owens Randy Orton match, and surprisingly the Bloodline match seems to be getting a bit of a showing tonight as well. We're now watching a promo package. Once again, guys, thank you for tuning in. Let us know what you think is going to happen at Crown Jewel. Oh, so it's just an ad for Crown Jewel. There we go. That's odd, isn't it? No Logan Paul. Heavily featured even in the promo for it there. And he seems to always be involved. Maybe we'll see him as a surprise. It's not something I've really thought about, to be fair. But it is kind of a shock to not see him involved. I mean, those out there might know more than I do. Is he training for a boxing match or something? I don't know. Okay, so this is this WWE Experience. I guess the outside of it. I'd like to go. I gotta be honest. I'd like to go to this WWE Experience thing. It's hard to tell with this layout what it's like. Okay, so they're around the ring. I think I like the way they usually do it with the stage, and everybody's it's like being at a festival or something, you know. This feels like it looks smaller, but maybe it's not because they're not all in one position, is what I'm saying. But we'll see. We'll see how this comes across. But this must be part of the experience, like a little venue arena type thing here. 12th time that WWE been to Saudi for these events. Well, they're racking them up, aren't they? So what do we think of this Crown Jewel Championship? They're talking about the women's one now. So I assume we're going to get Liv and Nia out next. But, I mean, I've got a lot to say about it. I'm sure I'll be diving into it even more on the build-up show. But it's interesting, isn't it? How the Saudi shows seem to always be clamoring for something. You know, they try to do the crown, Queen's Crown, then they just allowed it to be Queen of the Ring, King of the Ring. They've done the greatest Royal Rumble. They've took Elimination Chamber there now. Nothing's really stuck, you know. I thought King of the Ring kind of made sense, King of the Ring, because of the whole crown theme. But now, no, that's not good enough. We want a Crown Jewel Championship, which is basically Night of Champions, right? Or Clash of the Champions, either one. Which I think we did have one of these at Saudi before as well, when they cancelled that King and Queen of the Ring the first time round. So they kind of, again, have just been tweaking the methods, the format even. So great reactions here from the crowd about the bloodline. Oh, here we go. So it looks like we're starting with bloodline. Here we go, Jimmy Uso. Now, are we going to get the Uso music at Crown Jewel? Are they going to come out together? Or are they going to come out with Roman? Are they going to come out one by one? It's strange seeing Jimmy act as a babyface, isn't it? Like on his own. We've not really seen that. I mean, a little bit when, you know, you'd have one of them injured, essentially, and one would have to be on the road themselves. First, when we went into this Roman bloodline storyline as well, I think we had a bit of it then. But, yeah. All right. Now we're going to bring out his twin, the Yeet Man himself. Big cheer there for Jay. So this must be like a... And they're loving it. They're singing along. It does look cool. So strange, isn't it? Like seeing this format, because again, this must be something set up at WWE Experience where maybe people can come to the ring or something like that. Like you've seen at Access. Did that change name? Is that called WWE World these days? They keep changing these things. But yeah, it's interesting to see them coming through these kind of entryways that are clearly already there. But I mean, this could be like a performance center. This could be something they use for shows. They could be a sign of something they do going forward as well for these kickoff shows. Maybe there won't be outdoor events anymore. Maybe they'll be in arenas. You know, when they came to London for Money in the Bank, for example, Money in the Bank was on the Saturday at the O2. And on the Friday was SmackDown. Maybe they'll stop doing that. Maybe it'll be, or maybe you get into SmackDown earlier, something like that, and they just use the same venue. But then again, I don't know about that. That might be difficult. Anyway, what do you think of these kickoff shows, guys? Let me know. And while you're at it, give us a follow on TikTok and Instagram at RN Pro Wrestling for bonus content. We've been putting out predictions and short videos all week, as we have also here on YouTube. Yeah, it's good to see the Usos back together. There you go. Fully back in Uso mode. It's interesting seeing like Jimmy wear the "they aren't the ones" shirt. Like he seems to be wearing shirts that depend on other people and are very temporary. Like you can't really wear a "they aren't the one" shirt in 5 years' time, or a "no yeet" shirt, which was of course in response to Jay even. So the yeet has become the new what, and they're at the moment are playing into it. But let's see if that is going to go in the same way that the what chant went, where people want to get rid of it. I guess you'd have to have a certain character, because if you're kind of, because the what, it was always a disrespectful thing to either you're boring or you're a heel, right? The yeet is in the support, so maybe it won't be used in the same way. It'd be interesting to see though if the yeet chant does become, I guess, annoying and like move away from Jimmy and Jay. See, this is strange as well. Now, they're talking about Roman, whether he's going to play ball, right? And no spoilers, but SmackDown's on tonight, and it was taped last week. But they're now like going to promote, I guess, in some way, because this is what they usually do. It's in the same town, usually, right? They promote SmackDown. It's on in a bit. And they're going to promote SmackDown now, even though it was filmed in another country. Wait, hold on. And they're supposed to be, it's going to have to be straight up known is taped, right? They're going to have to straight up be like, this taped, because again, no spoilers, but the Usos are on SmackDown tonight, which is in the States, as far as I'm aware. Wherever SmackDown was last week. It's a bit of a dilemma, isn't it? And Jay's not sure if he's going to be on the same page as Roman. All right, so Jay saying he just don't know if he can fully trust Roman Reigns just yet. Cole's asking if he can trust his own brother. Oh, Jimmy's trying to calm down the flames there, because, as he says, it's a sensitive topic. Cole tried to talk about Jimmy costing Jay the IC title. But no, it would have been the WWE title, wouldn't it? Did they cost him both? Well, I mean, he lost it because of the other bloodline recently, of course. All right. Jay says he does trust him 100%. He said he can't trust his little brother Solo. Ooh, booze all round. So, yeah, I mean, again, it is a bit strange that you've got a tape version of SmackDown going on after this that was filmed in another country. And would you have to suspend your disbelief and think they've gone back and flown back the next day for Crown Jewel? It don't work like that. So, yeah, it's going to be strange to see how they promote and kind of put this across, especially on SmackDown itself. And it looked like they were going to announce this match on SmackDown, but they just did it on Raw anyway, which even that was strange, knowing that if you knew the spoilers, it was clear this match was happening. And they're acting about something. Anyway, that's the whole thing. I'm going to get lost in the time warp here, so let's leave it at that. Now, Sami Zayn mentioned there. I wonder if we see anything to do with Sami at Crown Jewel. I mean, he's been a big part of the shows in recent years since certain things have been calmed down a little bit. And he's been allowed in, and he's allowed himself to go. The fans have been massively behind him. I mean, not only because he's been such an over baby face, but I guess, you know, Arab representation as well. And they're singing for him now. But yeah, weird, wasn't it, on Raw, down that whole kind of you ain't family. It stung. It stung. You wouldn't understand, Sami. I mean, surely the whole point of this is to bring back him. Look, they're chanting Sami Uso. He's got to be, when it goes to Survivor Series, he's got to be the fourth member. So Michael Cole's asking Jay now about Solo's journey into becoming Tribal Chief and basically trying to take over the bloodline like he has done. Again, those watching live with us at the moment, this is your watch along for WWE Crown Jewel's kickoff show. If you're watching on delay, then hey, you got a chance to watch it with us still. Or if you're watching us on the repeat during the build-up show, then load up the watch along. We're currently watching Jimmy and Jay have their conversation with Michael Cole in the ring. Looks like we're wrapping up here, though. It's going to move on to the next match as Michael Cole hypes up the reunion of Jimmy and Jay. Going to be good to see them together, doing their old tag team moves and stuff like that, I'm sure. Eat everyone. All right, so I did say I didn't expect any bloodline kind of storyline representation here tonight. I thought, if any, it'd be the current bloodline or maybe the Usos, and that's what we got. I knew there would be no Roman Reigns. He was not getting out of bed for this one. But we are, and I'm glad you've joined us for it, guys. Oh, look at that. The Graveyard Experience. The Undertaker's Graveyard Experience. That looks cool. Again, I'd love to go to this. This is a great ad for what they've got there. Like, you'd have to have a lot of money. But this is going to encourage people, I reckon, at least a few people to go over and see this now. It does look really cool. I mean, this would be a great time to do it, right? To go there, go to this, and to Crown Jewel, or you know, whatever the next Saudi event's going to be, which they might even announce at Crown Jewel. I think they usually do. So now we got a promo package, basically giving us the backstory behind this match here, the Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens match. We're seeing the attack from Kevin on Cody, which was quite a controversial way of doing it, right? Some people, I guess, could argue that it was wasted by not being on TV. It was a big blow off, a big turn. Should we have all the eyes on it? But I think it's fantastic. In today's modern world, you have a lot of eyes on it if it's online, right? So, no, fantastic. And I thought they're kind of it feeling outside of the way they usually do things made things quite exciting. So, yeah, great. And now they kind of played into it a little bit as well by doing it as CCTV footage. And we've had that before in WWE TV. I think it worked better seeing as we had kind of this backstage thing where the fans had seen it originally. And now you've got this kind of unpredictability with the CCTV cameras and stuff like that. So, yeah, adds a sense of realism. Again, they've done it before, but it kind of feels a bit more aligned this time with what they've done a few days ago. Then Kevin Owens' social media post, of course, saying that he just doesn't understand after all the things that other people have done and whatever else. Now, for me, this is all leading towards, and if you see my predictions from earlier in this week, it's leading towards a Randy Orton heel turn. Maybe not at Crown Jewel, but I think a loss at Crown Jewel is what's kind of going to push him a little bit further over the edge. Will we see Triple H? You know, that's a big talk point at the moment as well. Will he factor into this storyline as a kind of proxy to get him towards which surely is the turn on Cody? This will maybe delay it a little bit, muddy the waters a little bit. Speaking of which, again, we've had our prediction show in the books already, guys. If you haven't seen it, just check it out on this very channel or in the form of shorts as well, and on TikTok, as we mentioned earlier on. As I say, we are watching the promo package for the Randy Orton Kevin Owens match. We're also going to see a face-off, you would imagine, on tonight's kickoff show between Cody and Gunther as well, as we know they're both in the building. And it's again a privilege to have you here with us on this watch-along of the kickoff show, guys. Let me know what you think is going to happen at Crown Jewel. I'm really interested to know. And of course, if you are watching live with us on the Friday night, you'll know that tomorrow we have our build-up show as well, where we're going to be diving into this card in even more detail, analyzing the feuds and where we've kind of, how we've got here and where we're going to go in the future potentially when it comes to a lot of these matches as well. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Please subscribe if you haven't already. This is what we do on the PLE weekends. We tend to hit you with a prediction show earlier in the week. Then we give you our watch along of the kickoff. Then the night of the PLE, we have a build-up show. And we always try and hit you with an instant reaction and a few other streams here and there if we can as well. Okay, so this is called the Superdome, apparently. Which is quite ironic, isn't it? See, Hogan accidentally referred to the Silver Dome as the Superdome and that whole confusion or whatever it was. But anyway, big cheer there for the announcement that Randy Orton's coming out next. And as you would imagine, the theme song is hit and they are in full force with their voices. Voices. I didn't even mean to do that. I love this. I love seeing Randy soak it in, man. I don't think that guy knew the words, though. He was just moving his mouth, wasn't he? That guy definitely knows. He's into it. Guy with the glasses. Always get me chills there. Credit to him, and I think I said this on the Backlash event as well in France. Like, when it's your second language and people singing your theme song in their second language, like, that is so cool. Like, talk about the reach of these superstars and the impact they make worldwide. You know, it's it shouldn't be understated. The power of WWE, you know, to get all cheesy with it. And as Randy starts wrapping up his entrance, good time to tell you that his opponent is featured on this very channel as well. We got an opportunity to chat to Kevin Owens a while back. We talked about his relationship with Triple H and the story behind that incredible NXT War Games return a few years ago as well. Speaking of which, War Games coming up next year, next month, probably one next year as well. Really looking forward to that. And you know where to be, right, for all the Survivor Series coverage? Right here, Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Comment here from Takara Wild says, I have a good question, bro. Is it possible that AEW travel outside of Saudi Arabia or a possible Dynamite in Tokyo? You know what? I could definitely see a Dynamite in Tokyo. I don't see them doing anything in Saudi Arabia because of the relationship with WWE, and maybe wouldn't be something they want to do anyway. But yeah, Dynamite in Tokyo, it does feel like something they would do, right? Let's see if there's has there ever been any talk of that? I mean, obviously they're doing the show in They're doing that show. Is it Wrestle Dream in Japan? Let's have a look. Yeah, so no, Wrestle Dream was in that was the one that was recently, wasn't it? Tacoma Dome, not Tokyo Dome. Similar. I'm sure AEW did a pay-per-view in Japan, or we're doing one in Japan, right? Wrestle Dynasty. That's it. Yeah, that's the one that's coming up. That's going to be linked with Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's January 5th. So it'll be the day after Wrestle Kingdom. They moved away from that 2-day Wrestle Kingdom thing they were doing. So be interested to see that as well. That's it, Wrestle Dynasty. Yeah, thanks for the comment, buddy. You probably got there before I did, but thank you either way. And thanks for tuning in, mate. Really appreciate having you here. Also, bro, Tony Khan has a great partnership with New Japan and Stardom, so it is possible. Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if they didn't capitalize on them going there this time around. You know, Wrestle Dynasty, as I say, in January, you'd imagine that they could do a Dynamite then as well. Back to WWE talk, though. Of course, we are here for the kickoff show here on WWE's YouTube channel. We're acting as a watch-along experience for that. So thanks for joining us, Takara World, and anyone lurking in the background that hasn't dropped their comments yet. Thanks for joining us as well. But Randy Orton really playing the crowd here at the moment. I said it, I think, might be on one of the kickoff shows a while ago. But we just got to remember, it's such a privilege to have Randy Orton still, you know, active with this kind of schedule as well. And we got to take it in, as these fans are doing it, and as he's doing the same as well. Takara says that Jey Uso pop never gets old. Yes, it seemed like it was maybe on its way out, if I'm honest, a few months ago, right? And then his popularity has kind of exploded again, to be fair to him. So they've done a good job there. I know that the big concern would have been putting it back with the bloodline and kind of losing that. But if tonight's anything to go by on the kickoff, then I think they've done a good job. All right. Keep playing up the whole fans. Yeah, they're loud. Come on, let's get to what we're talking about, though, right? Michael Cole's speeding for his points here, so I think they are trying to catch up some time. Basically saying, look, you went through a lot with Gunther. Triple H is saying we've got to protect you. Why are you going up against Kevin Owens when he's unhinged and paranoid? Well, and again, he's lapping up the crowd. Again, it's fine. It's fine. We've got to appreciate it. Zilla Fatu is being rumored for NXT a lot now. Yeah, I mean, they just keep coming, don't they? Right? They just keep on coming. I mean, you could get one of them show up tomorrow night. Depends when you're watching this. Even tomorrow night, anyway, is when Crown Jewel is in today's reality. But if you're watching this on demand, it would be tonight. So technically, I could have been right. Anyway, point is, we could see a new member of the bloodline, a new member of the old bloodline, if that makes sense, to kind of even things there. You know, while the new bloodline seems to be getting all the new members and the kind of young blood, maybe we could see someone new who hasn't been involved in this kind of ordeal join the OG bloodline instead of the new bloodline. So that'd be interesting. I personally think it's going to be Sammy, though. If we're going to this 4-on-4 War Games Survivor Series, then I think it's got Sammy for me. But yeah, Zilla Fatu, I mean, I could see him joining. As I say, there's plenty of others in that kind of Samoan factory, it feels ready to make an impact in WWE and potentially jump into this Bloodline storyline before it eventually finally fizzles out. I mean, or it could go on forever, clearly. Ooh, okay. Michael Cole says Kevin Owens reminds him of Randy about 15 years ago, out of control and rebellious, but not as rebellious us as us here at Rebellious Noise, of course, guys. Yeah, I mean, Randy's making a good point here, saying that Randy was 25 years old, a young kid, didn't know what he was doing, had his whole life ahead of him. Kevin Owens ain't in that position. He's a grown man, as Randy says, oh, Owens, is that enough? He's not even going to give him the pop of his theme song because he is a heel after all. It's just walked straight up to the ring. And the security trying to hold him back. Or keep Randy at bay at least. Fight chance now for Kevin Owens as he slowly starts stepping his way up towards the ring. Kevin is one of the best at playing the heel that is technically correct, but he's a bad guy, so we've got to boo him, right? Like, you know, the heel that's in the right. Kevin's good at that role. Kevin Owens is annoyed about the way Orton's been towards him, and they've ruined the RKO friendship. The RKO friendship, I should say. Throws the mic at him and walks out. Is that enough? It'd be interesting to see what this match is like, right? It's it's possible that some of these matches will get lost in the shuffle with this unexpectedly big card, right? So it'd be interesting to see where this is on the card. Does it open? Is it somewhere in the middle? Is it the kind of breather for some of the other big matches? It's not going on last, let's be honest. But hey, I've been surprised and kind of fooled before. So who knows? Takara World says, I have a theory that WWE Ideal will use this to sign talents for the next NXT show, the NXT Europe or NXT Mexico or NXT Australia. Some great points there, buddy. And I actually want to dive into that a little bit more because we've talked on this channel a few times about this kind of background plan for this NXT expansion that they always talked about doing but never ever pulled off. Obviously, they tried with NXT UK, they folded it and said, oh, it's all right, we're going to do NXT Europe. And we've not heard anything since. So you're right, this is probably the closest thing we've had since that closing of a potential global kind of outreach for kind of other NXTs, right? I saw an article earlier today talking about, if AEW apparently go for WWE ID talent. I'm not sure how these kind of things are going to work, but apparently WWE would get first dibs, essentially. It feels a lot like in football, where you have academies and stuff like that. And there's a whole kind of process between, people being released from academies and going to other kind of teams to go to their academy or first team squads even. So, it's going to be interesting. As exciting as it is, it could create a bit of a monopoly that is negative as well, let's be honest. When it was one game in town, it was just WWE, and we're not talking developmental here. We're talking about them on a much bigger scale as the main show itself. There was a detrimental effect on wrestling because of that. And they didn't nurture that next kind of rung of talent. Now, a lot of the guys there at the moment, yes, the NXT effect is huge, but also so is the effect of Ring of Honor. So is the effect of TNA. Many of the guys that have been big for the past 10 years came from those promotions. And then, of course, NXT in Japan and things like that as well have also played a role, of course, in recent years. So it'd be interesting to see. And when they did do NXT UK, and again, this is another conversation for another day, but you've got me now. It did massively damaged the UK independent scene, which had been thriving up until that point. That's why WWE came here in the first place. So yeah, there are pros and cons about it, but it's an interesting time. It's a great topic. There's a lot to be excited about, and hopefully it works out for everyone in some weird way. If rising tide raises all ships and all that stuff. And I think that's been the case as far as this new boom in wrestling. I think we truly are in this new boom period. And what time to be alive, right? What time to be a wrestling fan? Crown Jewel, of course, is what we're here to kind of dig into. As I say, you're watching us live on our watch along of the kickoff show on Friday night. If you are watching on delay, either any old time or as part of our build-up presentation, we thank you as well. If you are watching Friday night and the build-up hasn't happened yet, let me promote that. Well, it's on Saturday night, Saturday afternoon for us. We actually do this before all PLEs. We get ourselves and get yourselves hyped up for it as well. So if you are looking for something to do in the build-up to Crown Jewel itself on Saturday, then hey, join us for a live stream there as well. Of course, earlier in the stream, we will be having a replay of this, but we will be going live on that very stream as well. Now we're seeing the Crown Jewel Championship being shown to us there. It's got a white cover. That I assume is the white strap, I should say. I assume that's the women's. The black one, I assume, is the men's, just because of the way the world titles are featured in their straps. So I assume this is now our time to start talking about these Crown Jewel titles and the matches that are going to take place for them. Again, we're going to be diving into this in more detail on the build-up show, which will be coming up either straight after this if you're watching on delay or on Saturday night. This is getting a bit confusing, all these kind of messages about promotion, right? It's a bit like what I was saying about SmackDown earlier on. Oh, Triple H is coming out now. I actually been promoting NXT Japan on my Twitter, so I'm a artwork wrestling artist. Oh, nice one. Okay, cool. Well, we'll have to look at your stuff, buddy. My Twitter name is right here. At Scott _ Reb Noise. That's REBNOISE for Rebellious Noise. And you are tuned into the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. But yeah, appreciate that, mate. I'd love to see you over there on Twitter or X, as it's now known, obviously. You'd also find me there on Instagram and on TikTok as well. Speaking of which, I should really plug Rebellious Noise's socials, not just my own, right? At RM Pro Wrestling on TikTok and Instagram. And again, we've had some bonus content there throughout the week, not just from myself, but also from Dan and Lucas predicting, you guessed it, Crown Jewel taking place this Saturday. And another example of the fans singing, serenading a talent this time. It's Triple H, of course, who shows his appreciation here on the kickoff show for Crown Jewel. Now, it's interesting doing Triple H here, right? He usually opens these kickoff shows. It's nice to shake it up a little bit. Because you don't want this to become it's the same thing. Triple H comes out, plays to the crowd, then there's some promos, and there's not much progression. There needs to be, if I'm honest, there needs to be progression in one of these soon. Because that first one was huge again with the whole situation with the Rock and the Bloodline. I mean, this is different because we are getting to see this WWE experience. And as much as, again, it's the same old thing, this is at least different. And Triple H is using this as a great opportunity to sell that to us, isn't he? I'd love to go to this WWE experience. It does look cool. Yeah, Triple H saying when they first started going there, it was good, but the fans get louder and louder. And I know this fan service is typical stuff. It's like any old band, when they're live and they say, yeah, this is the best crowd we've had on this tour. It's always the best crowd, isn't it? But realistically, these shows have become something different. their credit, they've become a bit more refined. They are canon. They matter now in storyline. And the fans seem to love it, and the fans have become involved more. I mean, we all remember those first ones with those strange first few rows of those big chairs of people that seem to be in high status out there and have a lot of money, and all the funny stories about talent they apparently wanted there and didn't realize you couldn't quite get. It's become something different now. And this is the new opportunity for them to kind of play into that on the fan side of things as well. You would have been able to do this 12 shows ago, a kickoff show like this. All right, so Triple H is talking about dream matches now. I assume this is something to do with the experience thing. Oh, so he's hyping up the Crown Jewel title basically by saying, look, dream matches, but we're here to give you a dream match. There's 2 titles. They're both champs. Again, there's a lot to say about this Crown Jewel title. It is basically Night of Champions, this sort of thing. Ooh, is that a Goldberg chant? No, it's a Gunther chant. I think it's a bit of a mix of two, and he's letting it play out because I think he knows people want Goldberg. Oh, no. Okay, he said it was Gunther, but we know there was some Goldberg in there. But him acknowledging Gunther means he's not playing into the Goldberg side, at least. Cody Rhodes chant now. But as Triple H is saying, I mean, while we're getting the fans singing, yeah, this is champion versus champion, and that's difficult, right? I said it on my predictions earlier this week, but it's tough when you've got 2 world champs. As fun as that is, someone has got to look better than the other, and therefore their title will look stronger as well by proxy. And I think it should be good for, but I think something else is happening. Again, if you want me to go into that further, go and check out my prediction. I'm sure I'll be talking about it in more detail on the build-up show on the day of the PLE as well. Oh, NXT chant. He said, "Who wants to see NXT in Saudi?" I didn't expect that. He's going to talk to Sean. Wow, that's not exactly an announcement, but something, right? Interesting. There you go. We were talking about NXT earlier on, weren't we? We were talking about the global expansion. This is more the American brand going over there, it would seem. I was actually talking off air with the rest of the crew from the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. And we were talking about how NXT feels like it is about due some tours. It's kind of not what it used to be, but it's not what it was 2 years ago either. It's become something new that's closer to what it was becoming in 2014, 15 when it first started touring, came over to London, of course. You found me. Nice one. Cheers, buddy. I'll check that out when we go off air. Thank you. Follow me back. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll check it out. What are they trying? Is it WrestleMania? Don't. No. See, that's the fear at WrestleMania going global. First of all, London's in the running, all right? Give it to us first, right? If it went to Saudi, it'd be on a reasonable time. I've got to say that. For me, at least, I can watch that. Ooh, he turned that around by saying Mania's in Vegas and got a bit of a boo there. So, yeah, they're chanting for WrestleMania. But if it's going to go global, it feels like the kind of thing they would do, right? It's all about the money. Not the game, the money. There's a lot of logistical things with the whole global expansion of WrestleMania with London alone. But I think the money is something that will dictate a lot of it, of course. And where else can you seemingly get money in abundance, right? If you're someone like WWE. So we'll see how that goes. Are you guys watching SmackDown before we do in the US? Actually, I'm not sure. Watching TNT Sport once it airs live. Yeah, I'm not sure what time it's on there. I won't be watching live tonight myself, buddy. But we'll go through what happens on SmackDown on our build-up show for sure. If anything big happens, we'll be going into that as we always do. Again, the night of the PLE or the day, depending on what time the show is, of course, and where you are in the world. We basically dive into the card in more detail. We talk last-minute rumors. We talk, again, go home Raws and SmackDowns, and as far as how they might affect our original predictions, if we were able to change them, for example, and yeah, just talk all the latest rumors. And some of our kind of most exciting streams we do are the build-up shows. So if you're enjoying tonight, then I'm sure you'll enjoy our build-up as well. And yeah, hope to see you there, guys. And once again, thanks to everyone that's joined us for this watch along. Whether you are watching live with us on Friday night, or you are tuned into the build-up watching the replay of it, or just watching it on the channel, we do appreciate you, and would love to hear from you in the comments, whether it's live again or on demand. Right now, though, in the ring, we've got Nia Jax, the women's world champion. No, Liv's the women's world champion. She's women's WWE champ, right? There we go. And again, even this would be interesting to see the card placement on Saturday. Then she comes with her bodyguard, Raquel. Rumor is Tiffany Stratton might become champion tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, this is something that Dan mentioned in his predictions, and I kind of loosely touched on as well. Some people believe that she could be winning one of these titles or the Crown Jewel title. Cashing in on the Crown Jewel title would be a bit strange, wouldn't it? But there's a lot to say about that, and I think I can't do it justice tonight. I'm gonna have to wait for the build-up show for that one. But yeah, that's a big topic we're going to be covering on there, because I've mixed feelings about it, and I do think various scenarios are possible. But back to the match we know that is taking place: Nia, Liv, and Michael Cole is now hyping up that match by talking about the history of women in this country as far as Saudi Arabian shows and having the women on the card. And now we've got a women's Crown Jewel title. I mean, she got the highlight recently, right, Nia? She won Queen in the Ring, excuse me. There we go. She just mentioned it. Not long ago, yeah. So it would be weird if they gave it to her. It kind of makes more sense for Liv, I think. It depends what they're doing with the Crown Jewel title. Same with the men. Like, will it be just shown here like the greatest Royal Rumble title was, or will it be something that the wrestlers will kind of hold for a little bit? Like, are they taking it to Raw and SmackDown is what I'm saying. Oh, yeah. Liv won her title there. She's definitely getting booed. Or they want Rhea. Yeah, of course, Rhea injured. Seems to be a legit injury that they've kind of worked into the storyline, which is a real shame. Of course, she's only just come back from exactly that, a legit injury worked into the storyline. So, and that last return, I've got to say, was so cool. Like that moment where we're talking about star power. So if we get another one of them, cool. At least we're going to get a big pop for Rhea, right? That'd be nice. Now, those in Saudi, of course, are fans of Rhea Ripley, as am I. And if you're also a fan of Mammy, then you can check out our interview with her on this very channel. We talk about what goes into alternative music, scaring people, and creating memes. If that don't whet your appetite, I don't know what will. So go and check that out after this stream. But as Liv says, she's not going to be out there in Saudi, which is a real shame. Rumor is she was going to be on this card against Raquel, and I don't think that would have been an 8th match. I think it would have been the 7th match, and something else has taken its place. I know most people assume it's the match that I guess the only one that maybe weren't made at that time, which is the women's tag title match, which, to be fair, maybe is a blessing in disguise because we now get to see 8 women featured within one match. So that means 8 interesting attires, right? Because we all know the women's attire is a little bit different out there. It's almost like WrestleMania attires for me. I always think, how can they creatively do this? I think they're chanting for Tiffany. Now they kept Tiffany away to kind of keep it in the back of your mind. Because she's playing into, look, it doesn't matter. We don't need to be with each other all the time. And as Liv Shet says, she's got her own bodyguard or friend. Michael saying, look, what happens if Nia takes both of you out? See this, yeah. Who should tomorrow? I'm going to get into my predictions a bit more, but let's think about who should win. This ain't who will win. Who should win this? To me, Liv Morgan should win. The men's one, Gunther should win. If you watch my predictions, you'll know what I really think, but will happen. But I'll go into that in a bit more detail on the build-up show, of course. Again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to us here at the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. We are doing our watch-along at the moment, live on YouTube and on Twitch, on the Rebellious Noise Twitch channel, as well as here on the YouTube channel for Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling. But we will be hitting you with a build-up show after this one on the day of the PLE. And if you haven't already, again, check out our original predictions on this channel. Myself, Dan, and Lucas as well. There we go. Got to start wrapping up soon. I assume there's only about 7 minutes to go. And again, thank you to everyone that stuck with us through this stream, and those that watched on demand or watching on the build-up replay. All right, so we're bringing out Gunther first. It still bugs me that it changed his theme song. But I'm starting to like it. And sing Gunther Ring General, you know? But and they're doing a bit of a, I used to love the sing-along of his theme song. Like when it was rare to sing along to a theme as well, you know? But they are singing this, to be fair. Cool. I think that's going to get more and more common now. I did think when I heard it on, I think the last PLE was featured on, I was like, is that just his song or are people singing that now? Because obviously a lot of times you design a song to be a sing-along, to have sing-along bits. Gunther looking dapper. Nice green number there. Fits in with the brand and the crown jewel. Wait, he was doing... Did he just say, what? He's promoting SmackDown. Did he promote Gunther being in a match? I think he at least promoted Cody. And that, again, that's not happening, guys. He's not flying back. It's taped. And they kind of need to acknowledge that. But, oh, it's so weird. Good for playing a crowd, but still on it. Slam him, come. I didn't expect that. Talking about winning the King of the Ring, King General. Well, he's pointing at the women's one, so they've zoomed the camera into the men's one just to clarify. Now, if you don't know what the strap looks like, that gives me an idea he's not fought by accessorizing it and he's not going to be wearing it. So therefore, he knows he ain't winning. Could that be something, guys? Does this mean Cody's winning, eh? Is that a little bit of a slip from the man behind Gunther there? You deserve it, Chant. You don't often get that for a heel. Good for Cersei's flattered, but you know, basically, you can't tell me what I deserve. So Gunther respects Cody as a wrestler. So Mike Cole, I think, is asking him why you don't embrace being a babyface, basically. And Randy Orton's done it, so there you go. He was a bad man, and now he's a good man. Why don't you become a good man, Gunther? Gunther says, I'll give him my best. He just wants to be respected as a wrestler. You ain't got to like him as a man, is what he's saying. Does it for himself. He can't bother with the people. He don't care. Even if you're positive about him, he don't care. I like that Gunther. Good one. Good mic work. Now, this is being displayed as if it is the main event at Crown Jewel. I don't think it will be. Let me know in the comments, guys, what do you think is going to happen on the show overall? But I don't think this will main event. I think the Bloodline match will main event. I know there's a lot of talk last month for Bad Blood about that, and it was rumored that something big would be happening. And if it was on last, it had to be for that reason. Of course, two big things happened. I actually think they wasted the Rockford fun, but that's another conversation for another day, as much as I enjoyed it at the time. Yeah, it's looking like, in my opinion, that the Bloodline match will close the show. But maybe not. Maybe if there's no massive storyline progression as far as someone returning or joining a group, then we won't see that. Maybe it will just be, as you could argue it should be, a world title closing the show. And as much as I like to see both, all four world titles, I guess, as equals, let's be honest, at the moment, the men's are being presented in a better way than the women's. It's calling Cody a secondary champion. And I do think they need to make it look like that. I know that sounds weird, but in order to make Gunther look good, and his title look good, that's the dilemma you have with champion versus champion matches, right? Unless there's like a cheesy kind of over-the-top ending where, someone screws someone and there's no real resolution anyway, or someone gets away with being like, oh, but they cheated, so it's okay. Now, Gunther's leaving. We haven't even seen Cody yet. I assume he's there because we saw him backstage. And this has been on for an hour now. Didn't expect it to be this long. I feel like they're only usually an hour. But it did seem like they went over a little bit when Randy was lapping up all the attention, right? But here he comes. Cody's on his way to the ring. That sounds weird to say on a kickoff show, don't it? But yeah, we do have a ring set up here. We're going OTC. Yeah, no OTC on tonight's show, unfortunately. Again, I kind of expected that would be the case, but looking forward to seeing how it does go down at Crown Jewel, of course. And again, the build-up show is going to be an opportunity for us to predict these matches in more detail, and including predict all the possible outcomes of this feud and how we're kind of getting to that next point. I'll be quiet now for the while. There it is. Of course, they were going to sing this song, weren't they? So now, of course, continuing to hype champion versus champion, the Crown Jewel title on the line. The first ever champion to be crowned at Crown Jewel for the men's division. Of course, WWE champ Cody facing world heavyweight champ Gunther. Again, we'll dive into predictions in a bit more detail on the build-up show before the PLE on Saturday. But if you haven't already, then after this stream, feel free to go back and watch our predictions show from earlier on this week. Myself, Dan, and Lucas letting you know what we think is going to go down. But of course, a few days since that, have opinions changed? As the go-home Raw and SmackDown change things as well. That's what the build-off show is all about. We'll be talking about the go-home shows. We'll be talking about the latest rumors surrounding Crown Jewel as well. And at the moment, you're tuned in to the watch-along of the kickoff show. They're still singing the song. I've turned it off, but they're still singing, Code. Is he going to cry? Well done, fans. The entryway looks a little bit like the entrance to Stars in Their Eyes, actually. I was suddenly got Tonight Matthew I'm Gonna Be because they were singing as a crowd, but yeah. That's a reference for you. Right. Come on, Cody. What's going on, you vampire? It's a nice suit, though, isn't it? All right. Now let's hear it from Michael Cole. All right. Yeah. Nice. This is what you did at the beginning, guys. Now get on with it. I do feel, again, as much as I'm enjoying these and I'm enjoying these streams with you guys as well, thanks so much for tuning in once again. I do think there needs to be a bit more storyline progression on these for people to be tuning in. They're fun. Like, if you've got nothing to do on a Friday, you know, or you're involved with a wrestling YouTube channel, then they're great. But I'd like to see some storyline progression. Like, especially now this is in a ring. Why can't someone just attack someone? Huh? Why can't someone get attacked? I guess it's difficult on this one because of SmackDown and the whole weird, confusing timeline of taping of that. What? What did he say? If he wins it, it'll be the first Rhodes to win outside the US or win a title outside the US. Chatting about. Right, yeah, tell me. Right. Saying after Crown Jewel, the title won't belong to him or Gunther, right? Who does it belong to? The fans? Okay, right. It belongs to Saudi. Basically, I think what he's saying is, you ain't going to see this on TV, right? So that answers my question from earlier on. Yeah, I mean, I like this. I like what they're saying. Look, it's like back in the day, two promotions, rivals, both world champs. How would the match go? And we kind of be getting that anyway with Night Champions and the way they try to make Survivor Series for a bit as well. But again, you have these risks with it. And one is really risky at the moment in making a new title look like the secondary title that we all know it is. So, good version one. So Cody is basically saying this is going to be wrestler versus wrestler. Who's the best in the world at the moment? Which is a massive thing to be able to promote. But they've got to be careful with it. He's saying that Gunther's the best wrestler as far as build a wrestler goes as well. He talks about that quote that JB always said that if you build a sports entertainer from the ground up, you get Randy Orton. He reckons you get Gunther if you want to build a wrestler, not just a sports entertainer. And I get where he's coming from with that, but there's also, as much as they're putting Gunther over, a risk of making his title look weak. But at the same time, Gunther's like, he never really loses. So this is an opportunity for Gunther to lose and it not mean anything because he doesn't lose his title. Still going some long old streak like he probably will. Like he's done nearly every time he's had a title, it seems. Especially in WWE too, of course, NXT UK title and Intercontinental, of course, for so long. So you could argue again that both of them could afford a loss. We've probably had worse scenarios where champion versus champion is harder to book, but still, does it outweigh the problems? You know, does the attraction outweigh the problems? And I think when it comes to this one and the money involved with Saudi, I'd imagine they say yeah, because it's specifically for this Crown Jewel title. That's a Saudi thing now. Again, they'll be fine-tuning what the special attraction is for the Saudi Arabian events since the very start. And the last few have kind of linked towards this, right? A crowning moment specifically in Saudi with the king or queen, the ring or queen's crown. We've had Night of Champions there as well. And now this is kind of a mixture of the two, it feels like. All right, Cody continues to play into the fans as a good babyface should. So we're about an hour and 10 minutes into the kickoff show now. It's still kicking off. I'd imagine we'll be wrapping up soon. But thanks to everyone that's joined us live again or watched on demand or catching a replay on the build-up show. Next thing you'll see on this channel will be the build-up show. And hope you'll tune in for that as well. And the live portion where I'm going to be breaking down each and every one of these matches in detail. If you want to see our original predictions, though, again, they are on this channel from earlier this week in the form of shorts, but also in the form of a long-form video collated together for your convenience as well. So Cody didn't really answer Michael Cole's question there, but he just said thanks. He's just appreciative, isn't he? So who's it going to be, guys? Who is going to be the first Crown Jewel champion when it comes to the men, and who is going to be the first Crown Jewel champion when it comes to the women as well? Some big matches on the card. Saturday's event is going to be a huge one. It's not just the two Crown Jewel championship matches, though. Of course, we've got the light Seth versus Bronson Reed. We didn't really see anything from, well, we didn't see anything from either of them tonight. We're also going to see Kevin Owens take on a Randy Orton in a kind of former friends turned foe grudge match. Of course, this has got some legs to go further, I think, into Cody in the future as well. Of course, already lightly touches on him with the Kevin Owens situation already. We saw them on the kickoff show. We didn't see anyone kind of represent this match though, but the US title match is one that I'm most looking forward to. One of the ones I'm most looking forward to as far as the 7-match card, because this is a feud that's been going on for a while, and 3 great talents that are really exciting at the moment and working very well together. Each combination we've seen of these has been quite good. So looking forward to the triple threat they do there. Talking about combinations of talent, we got an 8-person match here as well, of course, with 4 teams going up for the women's world title. And then talking of lots of people in a match, we don't have 8 here. We don't even have 7. It looks like that, don't it? But we've got 6. The old bloodline versus the new bloodline. Again, I'm going to go in depth on the build-up show as well. But you've been watching the Crown Jewel kickoff watch along here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. I really appreciate everyone that's joined us. I hope you enjoyed the kickoff show itself as much as I did. It was entertaining. It was great to see WWE experience and get that experience of it from afar, right? It's definitely made me feel like I want to go there. And again, really got me hyped up, not only for Crown Jewel, but also for the build-up show where we're going to continue to hype ourselves and you guys up for Crown Jewel festivities on Saturday as well. But once again, I thank you so much for joining us, guys, on the stream. If you haven't already, please subscribe and check out our interviews with the likes of LA Knight, our interview with Pretty Deadly and Shayna Baszler, just to name a few. I've been Scott. This has been the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, and we'll see you on the build-up show.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, so there we have it. We are back live, everyone. Thank you for sticking with us, and I hope you enjoyed our coverage of the kickoff show. It was a fun show, right? I enjoyed it. Again, these things are quite interesting to discuss, and always quite interesting to see who they put on those kickoff shows as well. Of course, we did see representation mainly from the Crown Jewel matches, although we did actually see a little bit of Uso action in there as well. Speaking of which, since the kickoff show, we've now seen SmackDown, and as I talked about on the kickoff show, there was certainly a bit of confusion going around the fact that SmackDown had been taped, right? We were supposed to believe that the Usos were in Saudi, and then a few hours later, back in the States, and then back for Crown Jewel in Saudi. Now, that wasn't the case, of course, but hey, either way, it was still an enjoyable show. I think WWE did quite well with SmackDown, kind of considering it was a tape show, still being quite a solid show in the way that they hyped a lot of the matches that we're going to see at Crown Jewel. Again, to quickly run through the card, of course, we do have that Bloodline match that we've been talking about. Again, the graphic makes it seem like there's more than there are, but it was announced that it would be the Tongans and Solo teaming up against the former Bloodline of, which is really weird to say, isn't it? Roman Reigns and, of course, Jimmy and Jey Uso back together once again, I guess, as the Usos. Be interested to see if they do come out tonight again with their original, well, not original theme song, but their theme song as a tag team, with Roman Reigns maybe coming out separate, or maybe they all come out together, or maybe they all come out separate and Jimmy gets his theme song and Jey gets it, just like they kind of did on the kickoff show. Anyway, again, we've got a huge Fatal 4-Way tag team match to predict as well and go over very soon. You would have seen from my predictions, if you saw them earlier on, that I was kind of all over the place. It's hard to predict when there's so many teams in a match. My big thing is that it does feel like Jade and Bianca will probably be turning heel, but it's still hard to tell. We've been thinking, they're turning each other. They'll kind of turn heel together. It's hard to see. A few comments here from while we're away, while the kind of replay was playing anyway. Takara World is back. Thanks again, buddy. Really great to have you back with us on the stream. Says, do you think WWE will ruin Live Valkyria? It's strange with Live Valkyria, right? She got so close in the, was it the Elimination Chamber? No, she was Queen of the Ring finalist, right? Or both of them. Maybe it was both of them that she went quite far in. I remember thinking at the time, oh man, maybe they're going to pull the trigger with her. And then they have definitely kind of stepped back, right? So that does feel a bit odd. And of course, when you've got so many women represented in the tag title match, yes, I don't really advocate throwing together tag teams or anything like that. It is, I guess, quite the image when you see those 8 and you still don't have people like Lyra. But then again, you still don't have people like Bayley. You know, she's not featured on this card either. Of course, we've got the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. And there was a potential Raquel versus Rhea match that should have been taking place, apparently, before Rhea got injured as well. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see where Lyra goes next. Of course, the big talking point at the moment is that, well, we've just lost 2 women, right? We've lost Tegan Nox and we've lost Indy Hartwell. As far as them being in the WWE at least, I'm sure they can go on and do big things elsewhere. But it does feel a bit of a shame. I think Tegan felt like, well, both of them, I think they're of that era of NXT, really, where they kind of got lost in the shuffle because NXT felt a bit lost. And they were, to be fair, were in their periods quite important members of the female roster within those their spells in NXT. And then on the main roster, just didn't really hit off. Of course, Indy's been with Candice LeRae lately, of course, as she was in NXT. And I've enjoyed what she's done, but there's just, I don't know. And maybe it's presentation, but I can't say I've ever thought, why is Indy Hartwell not in this PLE? You know, which might sound harsh because I've enjoyed her work. But again, maybe that's positioning. You need to be presented in some way, built up enough to then people will latch onto you. But I just didn't really think about it. I mean, even less so Tegan Nox. And again, I enjoyed both of their work, but they're not missing off this card, are they? Let's be honest. So as much as that is a shame to say, and maybe that's more a sign of WWE's lack of secondary women's kind of storylines, and then being prominent away from the weekly shows and more in PLEs. Maybe that's the case here. As we've always talked on this channel about a potential secondary women's title, as far as a kind of mid-card one, whether it be called the Intercontinental or whatever it may be. Either way, it does, I think this conversation is to come up when you see releases like this, because it does feel like maybe because the women's roster is far smaller than the men's, right? And yet we get a lot more men's representation. You don't have to be in the kind of, main storyline to be on the card. But at the same time, when they have the five match cards, which this isn't, this is a 7-match card, unbelievably, it does even get tougher for the men as well. So it's no surprise in some ways. A few more comments here as well. Christian says, when does it start? So Crown Jewel itself starts in just over 2 hours, 2 hours and 2 minutes to be exact. Here in the UK, that is 5 p.m. Not sure what it is wherever you are in the world, but wherever you are in the world, thanks for joining us. Again, for those that joined us earlier on the live portion earlier, and also those that joined us for the kickoff show last night or have watched the replay here, we appreciate you, and I hope you enjoyed that extra bit of content from us as well. Takara World also says, who's better title defense champion currently right now, Liv Morgan or Roxanne Perez? As in who's having better defenses? I'll be honest, I haven't been watching as much NXT as I would like lately. So I've only really seen Liv. I mean, I'm hearing Roxanne's doing good things, but I've only really seen Liv, and Liv's kind of just been getting chased by Rhea. So I wouldn't say that's been great, to be honest, either. So, but Takara says, is it live? Yes, we are live. I am live and in living color for you, buddy. Thanks again for joining us yesterday and on today's stream as well. But guys, let me know what you think in the comments. What's going to happen tonight or this evening or this afternoon, wherever you are in the world, on Crown Jewel. Again, it's a huge, huge show. Very surprising to get 7 matches. Why are we getting 7 matches is what I want to know. We've been debating this on the channel for quite a while now, that the 5-match card sometimes works, but sometimes it's limiting, and there needs to be more than 5, where there are storylines that deserve to be on it. Like when you think about the Wyatt Six, right? The Wyatt Six haven't been on a PLE. I don't think even once, maybe an appearance, but they certainly haven't had a match. And they debuted ages ago now. What else? I mean, there's been loads of big storylines going on Raw and SmackDown again, which make those shows feel more important. Must see. Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman. What a feud! Not on the PLE. Very strange, right? We are going to see though the culmination of his feud against Seth Rollins. I say culmination; it could go on for a bit longer. Who knows? But I've really enjoyed what done with Bronson Reed, and I've really enjoyed that it has made, especially that Braun stuff, Raw feel like must see in a way. So. You know, a bit of column A, a bit of column B, essentially. But still good to see Bronson getting a highlight. He's someone, again, from that NXT period where I just felt like it was neither here nor there. It was like, yeah, I like what you're doing. And then he got let go. It was like, okay, cool. And then he come back. Oh, all right, let's see if he does something. And to their credit, WWE this time, because I think the talent was always there with Bronson, they've used him a different way to use this kind of big man feel. You know, like they always do the whole, oh, he's big, he's scary, the ring might break stuff. But I think the way they've done it this time around has been so much better with Bronson Reed. It's so refreshing. Like he's looked like an absolute monster. They're not just saying that. A lot of times they just say that, and it's like, oh, does he? You know, it's closer to what they did with Mark Henry when Mark Henry went mega heel. You know, like it's closer to that than your typical. You know, what they did quite often with a Big Show, what they did quite often with, well, Khali, who else they did it to? You know, even other guys like Mike Knox and Snitsky, like he's a big guy. Like that was it, you know. And yes, he's a big guy when it comes to Bronson Reed, but it's different. You know, they're actually capitalizing on a lot of his qualities here, and I am really enjoying what he's been doing. Guys, once again, let us know in the comments what you think will happen tonight, what you're most looking forward to on today's show when it comes to Crown Jewel. And what did you think of SmackDown as well? Again, we've got a few things to go over when it comes to SmackDown's kind of effect on the card and our predictions, if you will. Saying that, though, we do have our predictions from earlier on this week that I'm going to roll to now. Myself, Dan, and Lucas, letting you know what we think is going to happen at Crown Jewel. And throughout this stream now, I'm going to react to their thoughts and opinions on it as well. And we're going to let you know, I'm going to let you know what I think today, now that we're a few days removed from Raw and, of course, from last night's SmackDown as well. So here we are. Here's our original 2024 predictions. Let's do it. Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax for the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. Bit of a strange one, right? But I'm sure we'll break this down further in the stream. But when it comes to this match, I actually think it is better for Liv to win it. She hasn't done that much lately other than look scared all the time at Rhea Ripley. And I think giving this new championship to Nia might muddy the waters when it comes to a potential Tiffany cash-in. Maybe we'll see it at Crown Jewel. I know there's rumours out there about that. But I think it's best to give it to Liv. Make the Judgment Day look strong for a little bit because of it. And we'll go from there.
Okay, so the first match to predict is the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. I'm going Championship for the sake of it. We'll delve into that more on the stream, I'm sure. But the Women's Crown Jewel Championship, which is between Liv Morgan and Nia Jax. Now, the thing is, they really, in my opinion, made Liv Morgan look really weak in her whole entire feud with Rhea Ripley. She just runs away every single week. And obviously, Nia Jax is, you know, had been really booked for quite well, I think. So this is an interesting one because can Liv Morgan realistically beat Nia Jax? The answer is yes. Obviously, it's wrestling. But in this scenario, does she? I don't think so. I think Rhea, I think there'll be some sort of shenanigans and Rhea will cost her the match is my prediction. So yeah, I'll go with a victory for Nia Jax.
So these are my predictions for WWE Crown Jewel 2024. Firstly, we are going to go with the Women's Crown Jewel Championship, which is between Liv Morgan and Nia Jax. Spoiler, I don't think either woman is going to be leaving with that championship. I think we are going to see a Tiffany Stratton cash in on one of the women, maybe beforehand or maybe at Crown Jewel itself. And Tiffany Stratton is going to be the one who walks out of Crown Jewel as the Crown Jewel champion.
Big Bronson Reed versus Seth Freakin Rollins. Bronson has looked amazing lately, and I think that's got to continue. Although it's great to see Seth back, I do think it's better if they put the younger guy over here. So for me, Bronson Reed's got to come out looking victorious, come out looking strong like he has on Raw for the past few months. And Seth, well, you can afford to take the loss, right?
Seth Rollins and Big Bronson Reed. Now, this one's been brewing for a number of months now, actually. Bronson Reed has been on a kind of tear on Monday Night Raw, hasn't he, the last kind of few months. You know, really has been looking impressive. The thing is, though, Seth Rollins is almost... It sounds really weird, this, and I'll delve into it more on the stream, I'm sure. But Seth Rollins is almost like the poster boy for Saudi events in a weird way. Like between him and Lesnar, and obviously Lesnar hasn't been around for the past year and a bit. Seth Rollins always kind of seems to pop up at these things, and he's had a lot of success and been involved in a lot of moments at Saudi. While I would like Bronson Reed, and I think he kind of needs the win, I can see it being a case of Rollins getting... Or do they? Do they extend this feud maybe, and Rollins gets to win back down the line? Because Rollins didn't need the win, but I'm assuming that Rollins will go into a feud with another main event guy after this, which is annoying because I think Bronson Reed needs to run a bit more. Oh, I'll go with Seth Rollins to win, but I really want Bronson Reed to win.
So the next one is obviously going to be Seth Rollins against Bronson Reed. Now this one, see, I think Seth is one of these that's going to want to put... he's going to want to put the younger talent over. So I think Bronson Reed is going to come out of this one victorious.
Men's Crown Jewel Championship. Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion, facing WWE Champion Cody Rhodes. Now this is where you back yourself into a bit of a corner when it comes to booking, right? Because same as Night of Champions and all those kind of events that they used to do, it creates a dilemma when you've got a champion that needs to look stronger than another champion. And the real issue here is the World Heavyweight Championship is obviously the secondary title. So I think the best thing to do is to make that title look stronger by having its champion look stronger. The issue is, I'm not sure they're going to do that. We do have the whole situation with Goldberg. Will we see an interference? Yeah, I'm going to say Goldberg and Gunther's going to be a thing at Survivor Series. So for that to take place, he's got to cost him a Crown Jewel. So I'm going with Cody Rhodes winning this one.
And then you've got the men's Crown Jewel Championship contest between Raw's Gunther, World Heavyweight Champion, and of course Cody Rhodes, the current WWE Champion from Friday Night SmackDown. All these matches actually are really interesting because I know it's kind of a cop-out to say they could go either way, but I really think this one could. The thing is with Cody, like, he won last month. Gunther, he so rarely loses. But does he lose here? The whole Goldberg thing's thrown like a kind of spanner in the works as well. Like, will Goldberg show up? Because I think Gunther is someone who's kind of struggled, been lost in translation with the main roster. Like, you know, people don't really get what he does, I think. And he's not up there yet with the Cody Rhodeses. I will go with it playing it safe and say Cody Rhodes. Even though they do like a DQ or non-finish, I think it will favour Cody Rhodes. I'll go Cody Rhodes winning. I'd like to see Goldberg as well. Yeah, Cody Rhodes winning with Goldberg kind of in the vicinity.
Next, we are going to go with the Men's Crown Jewel Championship, which is between Gunther and Cody Rhodes. Now, this one I think is going to be won by Gunther. I think Gunther's going to win because I think Cody Rhodes is going to interfere himself too much in this Bloodline story. And I think the Bloodline are going to get involved and cost Cody Rhodes this match.
More Crown Jewel predictions for you. Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. Now this is the battle of who turns on Cody the hardest, right? We've already seen Kevin Owens do it, and surely it's happening soon with Randy Orton. Now in order to get there, I feel like we need Randy to continually have this dilemma in his head of, why am I acting like this? I need to go in this opposite direction. By seeing Kevin be a bit more successful than he's been lately. And I think Kevin Owens therefore needs to win this match so that Randy can start to have those cogs turning once more about potentially changing up his game plan and therefore turning on Cody Rhodes as a result. So for me, Kevin Owens is winning this one.
Right, so extra predictions now. The match between Randy Orton and Kevin Owens is going down. This obviously follows Kevin Owens turning a few weeks back on Cody Rhodes, and that kind of an interesting segment now, I guess, as it wasn't shown on main WWE television. but it was a good way for them to use their social media reach. Now, it's interesting. I think Randy needs the win, but I don't see it happening straight away in this. So I would go for Kevin Owens to be victorious.
Okay, then we also have the Kevin Owens-Randy Orton match, which has now been officially announced. This one, I think we are going to see Randy Orton victorious. I think it's going to be a very, very big back and forth match. We may even see an appearance from Triple H in this one. Basically saying that he wanted to protect Randy Orton, not protect Kevin Owens in this one. So potentially, I reckon on the night we could even see Triple H added as a special guest referee.
LA Knight versus Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes for the US title. Now this is actually a difficult one to predict in my eyes, because this feud has been good. This three-way feud has been a bit kind of confusing as far as who's going to come out on top, and I still feel the same way now. It doesn't feel any clearer to me. So surely LA Knight's got to lose it at some point, right? But I don't see either of the other two being in that position to take it just yet. So for that reason, I feel like we should hold out a bit longer. But then again, this feud's been going on for quite a while, and it's weird to say that about a three-way feud, right? The other thing is that Carmelo feels different to how he felt in NXT. I've enjoyed his work, and Andrade feels different to how he used to be on WWE. I've also enjoyed his work as well. I just don't feel like either of them are getting that title just yet. Maybe it'd be more clear-cut if it was a one-on-one, but maybe that's why they're doing a triple threat. But you know what, LA Knight.
Next up, we have a triple threat match for the United States Championship as LA Knight takes on the forever dueling partnership buddies of Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. Now, I think as LA Knight only just won the championship, this is like his big showing in Saudi. I don't see him losing the championship. So I will go, I think one of Andrade, Carmelo will cost each other the match. I mean, the match is always good with them two, but hopefully that ends it there. But I would say, yeah, LA Knight to still be United States champion.
So we have LA Knight versus Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes for the WWE United States Championship. I think LA Knight is coming out of this one still as your United States champion.
Women's tag team titles on the line. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defended against Lash Legend, Jakarta Jackson, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. And Damage Control, that's it. It's a bit of a long one, this one. But hey, going to be exciting to see 8 incredible women in the ring battling out to see who comes out on top. And I think it's going to be the current champs. I don't see a reason to take it off of them just yet. And I do feel like they are going to start turning into a bit more of a heel duo, and in order to do that, I think they need to keep the titles. But then again, you could argue that losing them could kind of be that final straw for them, so I guess we could see. But for me, it just makes the most sense at the moment to keep it on the current champions of Cargill and Belair.
Next up to predict, we have a fatal 4-way tag team match for the Women's Tag Championship, which is actually quite huge, to be fair. It shows, I think, the importance of the Saudi deal to WWE. Now, I like the way this is all kind of intertwined throughout Raw, SmackDown and NXT the past few weeks. And yeah, it's a nice way to set up this match. Do I see a title change? I kind of could do. I mean, I'm going to risk it. I think a good way to show that, you know, Lash Legend and Jakarta Jackson are going to be treated well on the main roster is to have them win this match. And the Fatal 4-Way is also how Bianca and Jade lost the tag belts originally. Back at Clash at the Castle, wasn't it? To Unholy Union, which obviously who aren't in this match. But yeah, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go bold. I think, you know, they could obviously then set up a rematch and then they win them back. And I think they're really trying to establish more women, more tag teams in general, but definitely more tag teams for the women. So I will go with a victory for Lash Legend and Jakarta Jackson.
Now for the women's fatal 4-way match, I don't see anybody other than Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill coming out of this one as your women's tag team champions. As much as I could probably see Jakarta Jackson and Lash Legend coming out as the champions, I just don't see it.
And then a last minute addition has been a Bloodline 6-man tag, which I think has probably come because Saudi have heard about Survivor Series being War Games and look, we need the Bloodline Now show too. Now this is an interesting one because I think it's going to be very story driven. And I don't know if it's going to end cleanly. I think surely you'd end it in a kind of undecisive way, and then you'd go forwards to Survivor Series kind of with it unanswered. So, I mean, if there's like a DQ or something, I guess it'd be a DQ the villains would get. So then I'd go with whatever team Roman Reigns is on to win, but I think it'll be by a DQ.
We go into the big six-man tag team match, the Bloodline versus the original Bloodline. I reckon this one is going to be the original Bloodline, so Roman and the Usos that are going to come out on top in this one. I think there may be some interferences in this galore, obviously, it being that kind of thing. I think this is going to main event the show.
Join us on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel on our build-up show. Well, you're already here for the build-up show, so you ain't got to worry about that, but I do recommend subscribing. And yeah, what did you think of those predictions, guys? Do you agree? I got to say, some of the points that the boys make there, I do agree, and some of them I do not agree with. And that's what this show's all about, right? We're going to break down those predictions very soon. But since we've been on there's been some news breaking, so I'm going to get to that in just a moment. At this very moment in time, though, we've got the Crown Jewel countdown, as they're calling it these days. No longer the kickoff, no longer the pre-show. It's called the countdown now. But here on the build-up show, we like to use it as a bit of a watch-along experience as well. So if you're watching that and you're tuned in to us, thanks for that, guys. We'll keep you updated with what's going on if you're not watching it, though. But essentially, they've got the studio set up, and we just saw an interview with Gunther talking about basically his career, his accolades, and kind of getting to this point, essentially. Speaking of which, interviews with Gunther, we've got an interview on this very channel with Gunther. Hey, what a plug that is, right? If you haven't already seen it, then please go out and check out my interview with Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser, talking about their fashion, believe it or not. Look at that, a smile from Gunther as well. Future goals, the IC title at the time, and their time on the main roster, what they thought of it, essentially. Sludge Sports is in the house. Thank you so much for joining us, Sludge. It's great to see you back with us here on the live portion of the stream. Was that a footy game? I'm sorry I'm late. No worries, buddy. I hope the game went well. Whether you're playing or watching, I hope your team won, essentially. My team, Arsenal. Yeah, let's leave it at that. Didn't do well today. But hey, I'm not going to sulk about Arsenal anymore. I'm going to now focus on Crown Jewel, because we've got a big show coming up. As Sludge says, an exciting one as well. Glad you're excited, buddy. We're going to be breaking down each and every one of these matches. And of course, again, I'll go through Dan and Lucas's comments in just a moment as well. But again, I mentioned a moment ago, there is some breaking news as far as the card goes. We were talking on the kickoff stream last night, and you may have seen it on the replay section of this stream earlier on as well. What's going to headline? Will it be a Crown Jewel Championship, or will it be, as we've seen so often, a Bloodline match? And it looks like we've got our answer, because apparently, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful earlier this morning, it was internally going around, I guess, that the opener would be the Bloodline match. That's right. Jimmy and Jay also teaming up with their cousin Roman Reigns to take on Solo Sikoa, Tangaloa, and Tama Tonga, with Jacob Fatu waiting in the wings, I'm sure. So big news there, guys. Again, that's what these build-up shows all about, right? We want to talk about the latest breaking news, and that is it. It looks like we're opening up with the Bloodline match, which is a big call. Again, I know a lot of people expected that to be the main event, as we saw at Bad Blood. In my opinion, I completely understood why they did it at Bad Blood with the two returning figures of The Rock and Jimmy Uso. But there is that kind of thinking, again, even with that, of like, there's a Hell in a Cell match. Why is that not main eventing? And then here, there are title matches. Not only title matches, well, then I guess it's champion versus champion. Both world titles are confined within one match, you know, even if they're not on the line, there's a new title to talk about. Speaking of which, there are a few things to talk about, and I'm going to get to that very soon. Sludge, thanks for reminding me about Corbin and Indy. We talked about Indy a bit earlier on, but I will touch on Corbin very soon. But yeah, big news, guys. The opening match on Crown Jewel is set to be the Bloodline versus the old Bloodline, essentially. What do you think of that? And what do you think should be going on last? Well, let me tell you, there's also a rumored run sheet going around for that. So if this ain't your sort of thing, guys, feel free to mute me for a few moments. But that's what this show is all about. We're trying to give you the latest news, again, surrounding it. We want to break down all the rumors. Has someone been spotted at the hotel? If someone been spotted at the airport? We're here to talk about it. And I'm asking you, has someone? Let me know. Because, of course, there are rumors that Goldberg could be showing up tonight. What do you think of that? We'll touch on that very soon, I'm sure. But let's get back to, again, what is currently the alleged running order for the show. As I say, Bloodline versus Bloodline seems to be the opener. And then apparently it's this match here. It's the women's tag team fatal four-way title match going on second. After that, word is that it's going to be Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed. Apparently that is the third match on today's card. Afterwards, we are going to go into the first of the Crown Jewel matches. It seems like the fourth match on the card will be Nia Jax versus Liv Morgan. Then, to take us away from championships for a bit, apparently it's going to be Randy Orton taking on his former friend of Kevin Owens. And then after that, it's going to be LA Knight, defending the US title against Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. And then you guessed it, the main event, therefore, will be the WWE champion Cody Rhodes taking on the World Heavyweight champion Gunther in the first ever Crown Jewel Championship match in the men's division. What do you think of that running order, guys? It's you know what? I've got to say, it's good from the outset. Before seeing how it goes down live, I like it. I think it's got a good balance. You start out with a Bloodline, big way to start the show. There were all those talks before, when there were all those rumors of Roman always said apparently he's first or he's last. Well, it looks like that's the case still. He's first and he's flying straight out of there, I would imagine. Then we've got, apparently, again, this is the rumor going around at the moment for the card order. We've got the women's tag team match, and I think that's a great way to do it. My only concern, though, is that it's multi-person shenanigans, and then even if it will be different kind of shenanigans, because it's someone breaking up a pin, and all that kind of stuff. In the first match, I assume we're going to get some sort of traditional Bloodline shenanigans. So my only concern there is that it might be too chaotic, if that's a thing. Then you got Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed. I actually think that maybe that should have gone in between those two matches, but straight after this you got another women's match, so maybe they didn't want to do back-to-back women's matches. But you got Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed as a nice way to kind of, is it bring you back down to earth? Because that's going to be a big steamy match as well, right? Because you've got, of course, Bronson Reed is all over the place. He's a hard hitter these days, right? So all these crazy spots, and it'd be cool if we saw something like that with Seth. It would be a shame if we didn't, right? Because, yes, this is the first one, and they could do maybe 2 or 3 more at the next PLEs, and then you have the blow-off. But I feel like Seth's come back from being injured by Bronson. There should be something big in this match. So be interested to see how they go about it with that. But as I say, straight after it, apparently it's going to be the first ever crowning moment for a Crown Jewel champion, because it will be Liv versus Nia. This, again, I'm going to break down my thoughts and predictions very soon, but at the moment we're just going to go through the match order and feel out the kind of, I guess, the vibes, really. What's it going to be like as far as the ebbs and flows of the night? It's very important to kind of time your card properly. We've seen it in the past, haven't we, guys? Especially with big PLEs where there's a bit of burnout halfway through and it's hard to lift people back up. Famous ones, of course, WrestleMania 25, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels should have gone on as the main event, because by the time we got to Triple H, Randy Orton, is there a fire drill? Could have been the chant. It was, it was a bit boring and people were getting ready to leave, essentially. But hey, let's stay away from the negatives to stick to the positives. Talking to Randy Orton, I'm much more invested in this. Looking forward to seeing what happens with Kevin Owens. And again, this being the match straight after a Crown Jewel match. Interesting to see here. I mean, there's no duds here, guys. There's big match after big match after big match, including this US title match, which again, this is a feud that's been going on for ages. All 3 of these guys intertwined. Finally going to get to see the 3 of them go at it for that title at a PLE. Will there be a title change? Again, we'll get to that in a bit. And then there will be a title going into someone's hands for the first time, at least here, with the Crown Jewel Championship between the men. So again, let me know, guys, what do you think of the running order? Are you happy with it? Of course, there's a chance that this isn't real. There's a chance that somebody's leaked something that isn't true. There's a chance that this changes throughout the night and they call audibles. But at the moment, I'm quite happy with this running order of the card. Now, as I said, we're going to break down some of the things that happened on SmackDown. We're going to break down what some of the boys said earlier on this week. So in order to do that, I'm going to throw it over now to Dan, and I'm going to listen to what he had to say.
WWE Crown Jewel 2024.
Firstly, we are going to go with the Women's Crown Jewel Championship, which is between Liv Morgan and Nia Jax. Spoiler, I don't think either woman is going to be leaving with that championship. I think we are going to see a Tiffany Stratton cash in on one of the women, maybe beforehand or maybe at Crown Jewel itself. And Tiffany Stratton is going to be the one who walks out of Crown Jewel as the Crown Jewel champion.
Big call there from Dan, of course. Yeah, he thinks that Tiffany Stratton is walking out with that title, as in the Crown Jewel title. Now on SmackDown, they did refer to Tiffany being Miss Money in the Bank. And she kind of hinted that, look, I might even cash in on Nia, which I think is a bit of a misstep and actually makes me think it's not going to happen now or anytime soon. But you'll see what I thought of my original prediction before that took place. But yeah, it's a shame because it should be a shock if she cashes in on Nia. I don't think she's going to cash in now. But it's a strange thing to do, right? A new title being introduced, sort of, and then muddying the waters with the Money in the Bank. Now, the other possible scenario is, as Dan said, she cashes in and wins the Crown Jewel Championship, which would be bizarre. Like, it would make the Crown Jewel Championship look kind of important, right? Even though I think, as Cody kind of alluded to in the kickoff, it ain't even going to be on TV come Raw or SmackDown, it seems. It's a one-off, and maybe that's how it should be seen anyway. It'd be weird if someone carried it around for a whole year. But how can you cash in? The whole point of it is champion versus champion. The only way that I think it would be good is if she cashes in the match, wins a title, therefore puts herself in it and wins the Crown Jewel title. That would be cool. That would be really cool. I've got to be honest. But if she just cashed in to win it, I know we've talked in the past about when people cashed in on the NXT or the US title and stuff like that. They have tried to shake it up a little bit, but it's always felt a cop-out. It's always felt like it's because you don't want them around the main title picture. I say always. The Austin Theory one certainly did. The one, I think it was Charlotte went for the NXT title, didn't she? That was more like, okay, fair. Like, that's what you're going to do. Because Charlotte certainly could have a spot, of course, in the main event picture of Raw and SmackDown. That she quite often does, let's be honest. At the moment, by the way, on the countdown, we are seeing an interview with Seth Rollins. He's talking about Bronson taking him out of action for a while. We'll get back to the Women's Crown Jewel in just a moment, just to kind of keep you up to date with what's going on over here on the countdown. He's got some incredible sunglasses on, by the way, guys, as you'd expect. So he's here and ready to fight. To the glasses off. He's got quite a somber now. He's saying this fight is a big test, and it's one of the biggest tests of his career, he's saying. He's really putting over Bronson here. We're finding out who he is, apparently. See, I like that. I like that. He's talking about it's about finding out what he has got left in the tank, because let's look back to WrestleMania. Look how destroyed he was at the end of that, and how banged up he's been like the year going into that as well, with the world title, on him. He took 2 little kind of breaks away since that. This, of course, coming back the second time, now going after Bronson Reed. But yeah, again, I'm looking forward to that match, guys. I really am. It is a big card, as Sludge says. It's an amazing card. It really is. They've pulled out all the stops, and they've got 7 matches here. It's going to be a big show, guys. Talking a big show, it's always great when we got our friends joining us from the past. Daniel Wiley, hey, what time does the pay-per-view start? It starts in an hour and 32 minutes, mate. So wherever, hour and 31 now. So 5 o'clock here in the UK. Always great to get your comments, Daniel. You're saying, who is going to win with the OG bloodline versus the new bloodline? Look, you might have seen in the predictions earlier this week, I'm the only one that was featured on that prediction show that didn't predict that match. And we're going to get to it later on. Don't you worry. Let's get back to what Dan was talking about. I'm going to react to his original predictions as well. As I say, I think the Crown Jewel being cashed in on means they ain't using Tiffany how they should. So unless she wins a title, that would be so cool. That would be so cool. I talk about it muddy in the waters, but it would be cool. I'm sold. That's what I want to happen. I wanted to win a title tonight, and I wanted to therefore be involved in the Crown Jewel Championship match. Whoever wins it, they can go because they ain't the champion anymore, as she wins the Crown Jewel title. I mean, what a way to get people talking, guys. What a memorable moment for not only her, the Money in the Bank, the championship she's won, and the Crown Jewel title. I think it would be cool. Anyway, let's get back to Dan's opinions here.
This one is obviously going to be Seth Rollins against Bronson Reed. Now, this one, see, I think Seth is one of these that's going to want to put, he's going to want to put the younger talent over. So I think Bronson Reed is going to come out of this one victorious. Next, we are going to go with the men's crown.
All right, before Dan does get to the men's, talk there just about Bronson Reed again. He thinks Bronson Reed's coming out on top. We touched on that match a bit just there, but again, very exciting match. Let's hear what he's got to say about the men's Crown Jewel
Championship, which is between Gunther and Cody Rhodes. Now, this one I think is going to be won by Gunther. I think Gunther's going to win because I think Cody Rhodes is going to interfere himself too much in this Bloodline story. And I think the Bloodline are going to get involved and cost Cody Rhodes this match.
Right. Now, interestingly enough, when Dan first said that about Cody getting involved with the Bloodline story, I saw it. I could see where he's coming from. Then, when Cody seemed to be more involved with, if anything, the Kevin Owens storyline, right, because that affects him as well, and very much focused on Gunther, I thought, nah, he's not really involved with the Bloodline thing at the moment. I don't think that's the case. But now that we know the match card, now that we know the order, I do think it's possible because Cody seems to be going on last with Gunther, and the Bloodline apparently is going on first. So that gives plenty of time for them to basically rest up and get involved later on. On the Countdown show, we're seeing clips from WWE Experience. We were talking about this last night on the kickoff stream. Again, thank you to everyone that joined us, by the way. It was a great stream. Really enjoyed watching the kickoff with you guys. Again, anytime there's a kickoff show, we try to do a watch along of it. And of course, you know, for every PLE, we're here to get you hyped up and in the mood as we are for ourselves with these build-up show streams as well. So thank you to everyone that's joined us here for both of those streams. Getting back to some of these comments, though, Daniel Wiley says, did you see the Arsenal score? I did, Daniel. All right, let's leave it at that, all right? Come on, Daniel. Come on. Let's talk wrestling. Let's talk wrestling. As you say, who's going to win? I know you've got your opinions here for the Bloodline match. And again, we'll get to mine later on. But you think Sammy's going to turn on the OG Bloodline? I'm nervous. I am. I've got to be honest. We'll talk about that in more detail very soon. Now, that's Dan's first half of predictions. Let's get to what he thinks of some of these other matches here at Crown Jewel.
Also have the Kevin Owens-Randy Orton match, which has now been officially announced. This one, I think we are going to see Randy Orton victorious. I think it's going to be a very, very big back and forth match. We may even see an appearance from Triple H in this one. Basically saying that he wanted to protect Randy Orton, not protect Kevin Owens in this one. So potentially, I reckon on the night we could even see Triple H added as a special guest referee. So,
all right. So Dan thinks that we could potentially see a Triple H involvement. Now, it makes sense. They've really used him in this feud, and as he said there, it could turn into this kind of look. I was actually protecting you. I ain't protecting Kevin, mate. I'm protecting you. They've kind of really hyped up that this is, getting towards the end for Randy Orton's career, right? And how privileged we all are to have him. Look, I'll get into it a bit more very soon, I'm sure, but he's turning heel on Cody, right? Now, will an annoyance of Triple H just trying to be the sensible boss kind of push him in that direction? I do think that's a possibility. So, and I think, and again, I'll get to my predictions more later on, but I think Kevin's got to win this for that reason as well. Randy's got to start looking at himself and going, this ain't working anymore. I need to be, as he said on the stream last night, right? I need to be that 25-year-old punk kid who just doesn't care and whatever. He kind of needs to be that again, right? We'll see. Whether that turn happens tonight, I don't know. But with what Dan said, will he get involved as far as being Triple H that is, as a special guest referee? It'd be interesting to see. I don't think we're going that way unless there's just a surprise, and he does involve himself for that reason. Maybe it's kind of the match that no one can handle but Triple H sort of thing, and it starts to overspill and he gets involved. So it'd be interesting. Let's see. What did you think, though, of this match?
Versus Andrade versus
Carmelo Hayes for the WWE United States Championship. I think LA Knight is coming out of this one still as your United States Champion. Now for the women's fatal four-way match.
All right, and before Dan gets to the women's fatal four, so again, he thinks LA Knight is coming out of this as champ. Not much said there, but again, I'm really looking forward to this match. I do think this is going to be possibly match of the night. But let's get back to his predictions.
Other than Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill coming out of this one as your women's tag team champions. As much as I could probably see Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend coming out as the champions, I just don't see it. But that is my prediction for WWE Crown Jewel 2024.
All right. So once again, thanks to Dan for sending in his predictions. Just me flying solo on the live portion, guys, but still good to be able to kind of interact with Dan from the past there. Now, Dan said for his last prediction there, at least on that portion, that he sees a potential Jakara and Lash winning scenario, but he more sees Bianca and Jade winning. I think we're all on that same sort of boat. I think Lucas had a similar prediction, which we'll get to very soon as well. I know it wasn't there, but Dan also mentioned a bloodline match. He thinks there's going to be shenanigans, as I do as well. It would be a bloodline match with some sort of shenanigans, right? So it'd be interesting to see how they pull that off being the opening match. Or maybe that's not the case. Maybe he was right, but with what you said earlier on, because maybe the shenanigans come in the form of attacking maybe Cody Rhodes or something like that. But again, we'll get to my thoughts on the bloodline very, very soon. Before we do, let's bring up Lucas's predictions here.
The first match to predict is the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. I'm going Championship for the sake of it. We'll delve into that more on the stream, I'm sure. But the Women's Crown Jewel Championship, which is between Liv Morgan and Nia Jax. Now, the thing is, they've really, in my opinion, made Liv Morgan look really weak in her whole entire feud with Rhea Ripley. She just runs away every single week. And obviously, Nia Jax is, has been really booked quite well, I think. So this is an interesting one because can Liv Morgan realistically beat Nia Jax? The answer is yes, obviously as it's wrestling. But in this scenario, does she? I don't think so. I think Rhea, there'll be some sort of shenanigans and Rhea will cost her the match is my prediction. So yeah, I'll go with a victory for Nia Jax. Seth.
Right now, Lucas's prediction there was made before we knew about Rhea being injured, and it's a shame he's not on the show. Couldn't make it, but it'd be interesting to know whether he still would think the same thing, because of course Rhea could do a run-in, right? Maybe. She's going to be away for a bit, and it's a real shame. And apparently that would have been a match again, Rhea versus Raquel. So you'd imagine we're going to get that when she does return. But either way, the prediction there from Lucas was that. Was it Liv would win? Basically, he was saying that Liv looked weak, right? She needed to look strong, and I actually agree with that as well. I do think it's an issue, but she looked pretty good on SmackDown, I think. So there is that at least. Now, let's get back to some more of Lucas's predictions.
And big Bronson Reed. Now, this one's been brewing for a number of months now, actually. Bronson Reed has been on a kind of tear on Monday Night Raw, hasn't he? The last kind of few months. Really has been looking impressive. The thing is, though, Seth Rollins is almost... It sounds really weird, this, and I'll delve into it more on the stream, I'm sure. But Seth Rollins is almost like the poster boy for Saudi events in a weird way. Like between him and Lesnar, and obviously Lesnar hasn't been around for the past year and a bit. Seth Rollins always kind of seems to pop up at these things, and he's had a lot of success and been involved in a lot of moments at Saudi. While I would like Bronson Reed, and I think he kind of needs the win, I can see it being a case of Rollins getting... or do they? Do they extend this feud maybe? And Rollins gets to win back down the line? Because Rollins doesn't need the win, but I'm assuming that Rollins will go into a feud with another main event guy after this, which is annoying because I think Bronson Reed needs to run a bit more. Oh, I'll go with Seth Rollins to win, but I really want Bronson Reed to win. And then...
Right, now I'm with Lucas on this one. I also want Bronson Reed to win. I think he should win, and I think he will win. But then again, he's looked so strong. Maybe Seth does need to look strong as a returning figure, and then Bronson beats him again. It's hard to call in that sense, but I think Bronson Reed should be getting the win. But you know, again, Lucas agrees, but thinks he won't be, which would be a bit of a shame. Now, it will be interesting to see if Seth does go on to another feud, as Lucas said, that he'll go on to a main event picture. I actually think this feud is probably going to last a bit longer. You know, it's kind of, you can see it as stretched out already, but they had the Braun thing in between. I think there's at least one more PLE in this feud, so I guess we'll have to see with that. But let's get back to some of Lucas's other predictions.
Men's Crown Jewel Championship contest between Raw's Gunther, World Heavyweight Champion, and of course Cody Rhodes, the current WWE Champion from Friday Night SmackDown. All these matches actually are really interesting because I know it's kind of a cop-out to say they could go either way, but I really think this one could. Things with Cody, like he won last month. Gunther, he so rarely loses. But does he lose here? The whole Goldberg thing's thrown like a kind of spanner in the works as well. Like, will Goldberg show up? Because I think Gunther is someone who's kind of struggled, been lost in translation with the main roster. Like, you know, people don't really get what he does, I think. And he's not up there yet with the Cody Rhodeses. I will go with it playing it safe and say Cody Rhodes. Because even though they do like a DQ or non-finish, I think it will favour Cody Rhodes. I'll go Cody Rhodes winning. I'd like to see Goldberg as well. Yeah, Cody Rhodes winning with Goldberg kind of in the vicinity.
All right. Well, some interesting points again from Lucas there. Again, it's a shame that he's not with me live because I'd love for him to dive into that messaging about Seth Rollins being like highlighted all the time in Saudi shows. At the moment on the countdown, by the way, we've got Kevin Owens being interviewed by hold on. Yeah, no, he's wearing a Cowboy Bob Orton shirt, which is funny because on SmackDown he's wearing a Dusty Rhodes shirt, and then kind of randomly he was wearing, was it a Becky Lynch shirt on the kickoff show as well. There's always a little nod there. Obviously, Bob because he's facing Randy, Dusty because he's got an issue with Cody. But the Becky Lynch one's interesting, right? I know as well. Becky Lynch was mentioned by Tiffany recently as well. No, sorry, Liv, basically saying that I've retired her. She's got to be coming back soon, right? Of course, all the talk about her contract is still up in the air, it seems, or at least from publicly, we don't really know what's going on. But going back to the prediction that he was making there, Cody versus Gunther, I kind of see where he's coming from with the whole Goldberg thing, right? We had that show between him and Gunther at Bad Blood. It felt like it was for a reason, right? And Crown Jewel, if any PLE feels like a Goldberg PLE, it's Crown Jewel, right? Him and Lesnar always seem to be showing up in the early days of it. So, yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see him tonight. It'd be weird if it was a surprise because although they would get Goldberg, it feels like something that they usually like announcing in future. So we've got this on this show. When it comes to these Saudi Arabian shows, at least. But yeah, it'd be interesting if Goldberg does show up tonight. And if that means he faces Gunther at Survivor Series, and what do you guys think of that? Let's get to more of Lucas's predictions.
Extra predictions now. The match between Randy Orton and Kevin Owens is going down. This obviously follows Kevin Owens turning a few weeks back on Cody Rhodes. And that kind of an interesting segment now, I guess, as it wasn't shown on main WWE television. But it was a good way for them to use their social media reach. Now, it's interesting. I think Randy needs the win, but I don't see it happening straight away in this. So I would go for Kevin Owens to be victorious. Next up, we have a...
All right, so Lucas thinks Kevin Owens is winning the match between himself and Randy. Of course, a big talking point throughout this stream, really. And we just see the interview again on the countdown of Kevin Owens. I think, yeah, this is all leading towards a heel turn for Randy eventually. And as I say, I think he needs to be shown, not the light, but the darkness by basically being disappointed a few times. Here's his thoughts on the
triple threat match for the United States Championship as LA Knight takes on the forever dueling partnership buddies of Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. Now, I think as LA Knight only just won the championship, this is like his big showing in Saudi. I don't see him losing the championship. So I will go... I think one of Andrade, Carmelo will cost each other the match. mean, the match is always good with them two, but hopefully that ends it there. But I would say, yeah, LA Knight to still be United States champion. Next up to...
All right, so Lucas again thinks LA Knight will be coming out of this as champion. As you said, this is a big showing on the big stage like this. You've got to remember, a few years ago, he was in this country going for the WWE title at the time against Roman Reigns. So another big opportunity for him here to kind of make himself look good, this time by retaining the title. I think that point about the other two kind of getting in each other's way is a really valid one, and probably is likely to be what we see here as well. Let's get to his next prediction.
We have a fatal four-way tag team match for the Women's Tag Championship, which is actually quite huge, to be fair. It shows, I think, the importance of the Saudi deal to WWE. Now, I like the way this is all kind of intertwined throughout Raw, SmackDown, and NXT the past few weeks. And yeah, it's a nice way to set up this match. Do I see a title change? I kind of could do. I mean, I'm going to risk it. I think a good way to show that, you know, Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson are going to be treated well on the main roster is to have them win this match. And the Fatal 4-Way is also how Bianca and Jade lost the tag belts originally. Back at Clash at the Castle, wasn't it? To Unholy Union, which obviously aren't in this match. But yeah, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go bold. I think, you know, they could obviously then set up a rematch and then they win them back. And I think they're really trying to establish more tag teams in general, but definitely more tag teams for the women. So I will go with a victory for Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. And then a
huge call there from Lucas saying that the titles are going to be changing hands. I think, first of all, it's a big claim in itself to take them off of Bianca and Jade. But as we mentioned earlier on, that does seem to be the team that people think more likely will take it. They've been presented very well lately. Lash Legend, Jakara Jackson. And as Lucas says, it kind of would set a precedent, right? It will make it known that, look, if you come to the women's roster as a tag team, we've got room to push you now. We're going to do something about it. And it is great, as he says, to see so many what feel like legit tag teams now as well. Yes, I know in some, well, you could say that, well, they've all been thrown together in some sense, like the age-old thing in WWE, but they have done a good job at establishing these teams, at least, as teams. And I think this is, yeah, a great opportunity tonight to kind of reward them for that, you know, for going into tag team storylines and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to this match in particular. Let's get to his next prediction.
Last minute addition has been a Bloodline 6-man tag, which I think has probably come because Saudi have heard about Survivor Series being War Games and look, we need the Bloodline Now show too. Now this is an interesting one because I think it's going to be very story driven. And I don't know if it's going to end cleanly. I think surely you'd end it in a kind of undecisive way, and then you'd go forwards to Survivor Series kind of with it unanswered. So, I mean, if there's like a DQ or something, I guess it'd be a DQ the villains would get. So then I'd go with whatever team Roman Reigns is on to win, but I think it'll be by a DQ.
I like that, by the way. Whatever team Roman Reigns is on, because of course, it's kind of hard to know what to call them, right? Are they the Bloodline anymore? No, I guess no. The new Bloodline, the OG Bloodline. It's I think they need to give them names. I know there's a rumor, at least before, that they were going to give the new Bloodline a different name. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe they will have to do something like that when they start kind of ramping up this feud even more. Because again, it's surely going to go to Survivor Series, right? Maybe it's going to be with Sami Zayn. Maybe it's going to be with a new member. We'll have to see. Maybe we'll see changes in that tonight. Again, we'll get to my predictions for it very, very soon. But again, great to get the insight of Lucas on that one as well. All right, it's time. I've put it off, but it's time to let you know what I think is going to happen at tonight's show. Let's play my original predictions as well. That way I can kind of react to them. This is going to be weird, right? Side by side by myself. Here we go.
2024 predictions. Let's do it. Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax for the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. Bit of a strange one, right? But I'm sure we'll break this down further in the stream. But when it comes to this match, I actually think it is better for Liv to win it. She hasn't done that much lately other than look scared all the time of Rhea Ripley. And I think giving this new championship to Nia might muddy the waters when it comes to a potential Tiffany cash-in. Maybe we'll see it at Crown Jewel. I know there's rumours out there about that, but I think it's best to give it to Liv, make the Judgment Day look strong for a little bit because of it, and we'll go from there. Big Bronson Reed versus Seth Freakin Rollins.
Well, before I talk about Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins, it was weird to be nodding along and agreeing with myself there. We've got, again, a lot to really think about when it comes to the Crown Jewel Championship. And Triple H is actually on the countdown again, talking about it like he did on last night's show, the kickoff, saying, look, I always thought what these dream matches, this world champ versus this world champ, and now there's a chance to kind of basically put a title on that. And I kind of get where he's coming from. As I was saying there, though, I think the whole muddy in the waters thing is dangerous when it comes to the Money in the Bank. But I kind of talked myself into the idea earlier, right? I was saying, look, if Tiffany cashes in and wins a title and therefore kicks that person out of that match because they are no longer eligible to be in that match, so it doesn't even become a triple threat, and then she wins the Crown Jewel title, that will be amazing. And I hope they do it. I really do. Who should they take it off of Nia? Has to be off of Nia, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's listen to me talk about another match.
To championship to Nia, my mother.
Oh, there we go.
And amazing lately, and I think that's got to continue. Although it's great to see Seth back, I do think it's better if they put the younger guy over here. So for me, Bronson Reed's got to come out looking victorious, come out looking strong like he has on Raw for the past few months. And Seth, well, he can afford to take the loss, right?
Yeah, I mean, I still agree. I think Seth can afford the loss. Big Bronson Reed looks great, and I think he should carry on looking great. So there we go. Yeah, nice and easy there.
Men's Crown Jewel Championship. Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion, facing WWE Champion Cody Rhodes. Now, this is where you back yourself into a bit of a corner when it comes to booking, right? Because same as Night of Champions and all those kind of events that they used to do, it creates a dilemma when you've got a champion that needs to look stronger than another champion. And the real issue here is the World Heavyweight Championship is obviously the secondary title. So I think the best thing to do is to make that title look stronger by having its champion look stronger. The issue is, I'm not sure they're going to do that. We do have the whole situation with Goldberg. Will we see an interference? Yeah, I'm going to say Goldberg and Gunther's going to be a thing at Survivor Series. So for that to take place, he's got to cost him a Crown Jewel. So I'm going with Cody Rhodes winning this one.
Right, am I still going with Cody Rhodes and an interference from Goldberg? I think so. Although I still do believe that Gunther should be winning. Overall, if you didn't have the Goldberg situation, I think Gunther should win because all my points there are still for the same. I mentioned it earlier. I mentioned it last night, and I mentioned it a few days ago on that prediction as well. The World Heavyweight Championship needs to, because it's so new and it's obviously the secondary title, as well as they've done with it, it needs to look like the most important champion holds it, even if it's just for one night, you know, because we all know it won't damage Cody. Everybody loves Cody. It won't damage the lineage of the WWE title, right? But the World Heavyweight Championship needs this, in my opinion. Maybe not as much as it did a few months ago, but it still could do with it. But again, I kind of don't think we're going to get that because I do think Goldberg probably is going to get involved. Love him or hate him. I mean, there's things about him that I do love and things about him that I don't want to use the word hate, but you know, don't need to see. But like, he does deserve this retirement run that he kind of was talking about before. He does deserve that. So I hope he gets it. And I think something with Gunther would be pretty cool, and it'll make Gunther look amazing, right? If Gunther beats Goldberg, by the way, they've protected Goldberg over the years, that will say a lot for Gunther. So in some ways, it's a win-win scenario. Especially if he keeps the world title against him. You know, Goldberg goes, oh, imagine that. The fear going into that. Goldberg's going to win the world title. Anyway, that's another stress for another day. Let's get into some more predictions for myself.
For you, Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. Now, this is the battle of who turns on Cody the hardest, right? We've already seen Kevin Owens do it, and surely it's happening soon with Randy Orton. Now, in order to get there, I feel like we need Randy to continually have this dilemma in his head of, why am I acting like this? I need to go in this opposite direction by seeing Kevin be a bit more successful than he's been lately. And I think Kevin Owens therefore needs to win this match so that Randy can start to have those cogs turning once more about potentially changing up his game plan and therefore turning on Cody Rhodes as a result. So for me, Kevin Owens is winning this one. LA Knight versus Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes for the US title. Now, this is actually a difficult one to predict in my.
Actually, before I get to that, I'll refer to the first match instead. Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. Again, my thoughts on that are pretty much the same as they were a few days ago. I think Randy just needs to start regretting his decisions and turn into evil Randy and attack Cody eventually, right? So there we go. Next match.
For that reason, I feel like we should hold out a bit longer. But then again, this feud's been going on for quite a while, and it's weird to say that about a three-way feud, right? The other thing is that Carmelo feels different to how he felt in NXT. I've enjoyed his work, and Andrade feels different to how he used to feel in WWE. But I've also enjoyed his work as well. I just don't feel like either of them are getting that title just yet. Maybe it'd be more clear-cut if it was a one-on-one, but maybe that's why they're doing a triple threat. But you know what, LA Knight.
As you can see, I was not confident with that, but I think I still would say the same thing. The LA Knight situation makes sense. And as Lucas said earlier on, the other two taking each other out, I didn't know that at the time. I didn't really figure that out at the time, but I think that's a good way to do it and one, again, that makes sense. Next prediction.
Women's tag team titles on the line. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defending against Lash Legend, Jakarta Jackson, Chelsea Green, and Piper Niven. And Damage Control, that's it. It's a bit of a long one, this one, but hey, going to be exciting to see 8 incredible women in the ring battling out to see who comes out on top. And I think it's going to be the current champs. I don't see a reason to take it off of them just yet. And I do feel like they are going to start turning into a bit more of a heel duo. And in order to do that, I think they need to keep the titles. But then again, you could argue that losing them could kind of be that final straw for them. So I guess we could see. But for me, it just makes the most sense at the moment to keep it on the current champions of Cargill and
I still feel the same way about that. I mean, Cargill and Belair, I think them turning heel, if not on each other, just together, is something that we need to see. Again, losing the titles could fuel that, but I don't know, looking that strong because you beat all these teams is kind of a good look as well. I'm just seeing, talking about good look, I'll tell you a bad look. I'm seeing on the countdown at the moment a promotional video of Cody Rhodes at the Etihad. It's just cringy. No, Cody, no, I want you to lose today now because of this. Seeing him in a bucket hat playing into all the Manchester hype. Look, nothing against Manchester, but a lot against City. Now, anyway, this ain't the football channel. We got a Rebellious Noise football channel for that. Go enjoy us over there. But you are watching the build-up show on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. And before we do get out of here, I am going to let you know what I think is going to happen on the, opening match, it seems, right? Now, if you haven't been with us throughout the stream, you might not realize this, but apparently the opener is going to be New Bloodline versus Old Bloodline. It's a match that I am yet to predict. So here we go. I think the winners will be... Oh, man, I don't know. I haven't even really thought about it. I think the winners will be the Bloodline, the current Bloodline, as in the New Bloodline, right? It has to be because they're still building the Old Bloodline. They've got to bring Sammy back, right? So I think the New Bloodline's got to win it because they need to rebuild in some way. Now, it's really annoying that they brought back The Rock just to do nothing. Like, The Rock should have come back at, like, Survivor Series or something like that, it feels like. Unless there's someone new coming tonight, again, for the New Bloodline, it would be interesting. We talked about it quite a lot on the stream last night, of course, shown on the replay here today as well. But, even if they get a new member joining this storyline, it doesn't actually necessarily mean they're going to join the New Bloodline. They might be able to recruit some young bloods into the Old Bloodline. So that'd be interesting to see. Or Sami Zayn. Could that be where we're going with this? I personally think Sami Zayn needs to get back in this storyline. He needs to be the fourth member, and that's what they're kind of flirting with at the moment. But Daniel Wiley says, I think Sami's going to turn on the Old Bloodline, which would be crazy. It would be a massive, massive shock. And disappointing because it's something we don't want to see, but it would be a massive shock. So I kind of would give them credit for that. But at the same time, it would take away something that I just really, really think a lot of fans want to see, which is them together as a babyface kind of stable, where they kind of acted like babyfaces at times when they were in it before because it was so funny. But man, that is a big fear. Will Sami Zayn cost the Bloodline? The Old Bloodline, I should say, and help the New Bloodline. Imagine if he joined the New Bloodline. Not only cost the old one, but he joins the New Bloodline. But that's what they've done a lot in the past year, haven't they? They've had like Sammy and Jay not liking each other, not being happy that they're on the same brands and stuff like that. And how can you give Jay a second chance? And now he's saying the same thing. We've had a lot of this kind of, hey, remember this? Don't you remember that? All this conversation about how many times Kevin has turned on people and he's ended up doing it. I like the fact they're trying to play into wrestlers' pasts and stuff like that, and not just make us forget that these people have passed, you know. And that's a crime that WWE committed a lot in the past, is trying to erase their own history when it comes to pushing a current narrative. And I just think it's better off playing off of that history because it's there and we know it and it's good stuff. You did good work in the past, guys. Enjoy that. Talking of good work, it's been good fun and good work going through all of this card review tonight. I really do hope you enjoy Crown Jewel wherever you're watching it around the world. Sadly, this is it for us. We are wrapping up here because we've got a few things going on that we need to attend to, but it's going to be a big show. I'm sad I can't bring you right up to the minute of the show kicking off like we usually do, but hey, I thank you all for joining us. If you've only just joined us, by the way, guys, we've been live for 3 hours now, so go back and watch the rest of the stream. There are segments where I'm live and there's sections where we are going through original predictions and talking about that kickoff show from last night. But either way, thank you to everyone that subscribed this week. We've had a lot of people join us on the channel this week. We really do appreciate it. Whether you're old or new, we are so grateful for everyone that's joined us for the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling coverage of Crown Jewel. Once again, I've been Scott, and I thank you so much. Sheamus is now on the countdown. You can go and watch that comfortably without me rabbiting in your ears, but I appreciate those that watch it with me as their kind of a watch-along experience for it as well. Now, thank you all so much. Once again, I'll see you on the next one. Enjoy Crown Jewel, everyone.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.